This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
Hey, Cali, it's Willard, Pugh, and Ron. We out here doing the Hollywood thing. All right. Took him out to lunch and just trying to keep him away from these crazy, wild women. All right. That's your boy.
I appreciate that.
Hey, everybody. I'll wait till everybody gets on. I'll let people know that I'm on. How about that? I'm gonna let everybody know that it is we all be time. Guess who's back? I am back once again. Tell a friend. Ron is back. They try to put me in YouTube jail. I just broke out of YouTube hell. Baby. It's all good, baby. Brother Ron with the word. You heard me? Yeah. So 90s. If they're bringing back all these 90s TV shows, bring back the 90s hip hop icons. Bring back Eazy-E, bring back Tupac, and bring back the notorious one, the notorious B.I.G. Bring them all back. If y'all bringing back Roseanne, Martin, Full House, if y'all bringing back the 90s, bring back the hip hop from the 90s. You heard me? Bring back New Jack Swing. Bring it all back. Just trying to see if y'all gonna come support. Broadcast from We All Be TV 2. This is We All Be TV 2. We got so much to do, so I'm going to upload this to We All Be TV 1 so y'all can understand. If y'all want to catch the live streams, go to We All Be TV 2. I'll be doing them live streams from that because my channel was penalized. We were censored by the social media giant YouTube. It's been a lot of rewriting of history, censorship and whatnot. And we're going to talk a little bit about censorship. Today's show and topic is No Country for Black Men. No Country for Black Men. As you see in the topic dialogue, it's about No Country for Black Men. We're going to be talking about the Oscars, KoBE Bryant, Terry Crews, GREgory, Minister Farrakhan, and censorship. But if you like what you hear in the words from Brother Heard, please support this platform. We need you all support. If you go into the subscription box, there's where you could donate, support the cause, because We All Be is all about movement. It's all about empowering the people, and the people have spoken. I'm very humbled by the support I get by the people out there. Hey, Sister Meech Lady 19, what's up? Simply Deep 1985, thank you for checking in. Tell y'all friends, we're about to get in some deep stuff. Y'all know I start, color people time, whatever. But it's a one-man show. I feel obligated to the people. Like, it still amazes me that people either recognize my voice or they recognize me. You know, I be in all like the most, you know, random of places, and I have people come up to me, Brother Ron, we all be, baby, we all be, Brother Ron. I have taxi cab drivers, people in the grocery stores, people at churches, people on the streets. They'll stop Brother Ron. It gonna make a difference if it's Memphis, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi, Los Angeles, California, Brooklyn, New York, Washington, D.C., Baltimore. Everywhere I go, I get love from the people. So I want to thank the people for holding me down and for really believing in the We All Be movement, because we all be in it to win it. This is about the village. This is about communalism, not about communism, not about socialism. This is about straight communalism. It's about spirituality. It's about believing in yourself, believing in your people, doing right by your people by doing right by yourself first and foremost. This is about self-love. This is about self-care, because self-love and self-care is the best health care. Once again, self-love, self-care is the best health care. So tell your friends about this. You know, I'm doing it from We All Be TV 2 right now. The primary channel, we lost our live streaming rights based over a censorship issue concerning GREgory. Even in death, GREgory is a very powerful and provocative ancestor. So, I mean, feel free to give to the movement. You could donate, do the super chat. You can also donate, make a one-time donation through PayPal, or you could join the movement at an even greater commitment through patreon.com/weallbe. All this stuff is located in the subscription box. I guess I'll upload it to the chat as well too. And now YouTube finally got a good idea. Oh, maybe we should save the live chats. Maybe we should save it to go along with the video and repeat in real time. No crap. No. You know what, Sherlock? Makes a lot of sense to do so. You know, but it's important. You know, because really one of the best ways to build generational wealth is via intellectual property. The white folks knew that. That's why the black man taught Jack Daniels how to do that special alcohol concoction. It was, you know, Jack Daniels folks that kept on, they held on to that intellectual property, like the Colonel's secret recipe for his chicken, and they probably gave the black man's family literally like a pat on the head and maybe a statue or something. We're thankful that the Niagara shared his ideas with us. You know, it goes back to the Dred Scott thing. You know, I always tell people, let's point to Dred Scott. I know a lot of folks said, you know, they don't believe in slavery, that slavery happened, and that we didn't come on slave ships, that black folks was already here. What I believe is that everybody could be right, but there's different, you know, there's different dimensions, different nuances and subtleties to the story. But I always refer back to Dred Scott. I think it's important for black folks because black is a color in the crayon box. You know, the black thing. But here's the thing. The Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, basically told Dred Scott, the Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice Roger Taney, basically told Dred Scott that he nor his descendants have any rights that a white man is bound to respect. They don't even have any rights to their own intellectual property. Whatever they have is property of this system of white inferiority. And I want to start getting people to call it what it is. Not white supremacy, but white inferiority. When I'm on this platform and on We All Be, we're talking about white inferiority because the supremacy does not exist in nature. If you're not supreme naturally, you cannot be supreme. It's a man-made fabrication. It's a myth that folks continue to invest to manifest it into reality. Your reality as individuals, and we as individuals, our reality is based on our own manifestations, from what we think from the inside. The universe on the inside is manifest as your reality. So whatever you believe in and you speak to, you give it power. Your words create worlds. It's like, you know, March 9th marked the 21st anniversary of the notorious b.i.g. being gunned down in Los Angeles. March 9th, 1997, early Sunday morning, he was taken from us at the tender age of 24. And to this day, the murder case is officially unsolved, but the powers that be know who did it. A lot of us know who did it. And the thing about it is, this is the type of thing that happens when we say we believe in a voting of the lesser evil. Frankly, what you're saying is that I'm okay with evil being done in small doses. There's no such thing as evil being done in small doses. Evil is what evil does. Evil is what evil does. So when Notorious B.I.G., he was assassinated at a Soul Train after party, Soul Train Music Awards after party at the Peterson Automotive Museum. Outside, right next to it, he was assassinated while he was sitting in a SUV at the intersection of Wilshire and Fairfax. This is known as Miracle Mile neighborhood and also Museum Row, because you have a lot of museums in that area, including the Peterson Automotive Museum. Right down the streets, La Brea Tar Pits, which I kind of compare to the 1969 moon landing. It looked more like mud pits than tar pits to me, but I digress because I went to visit there. But I want people to understand where B.I.G. was assassinated was right next to Beverly Hills. This was not Compton. This was not Watts. This was not South Central. This is the heart of white people land. This is Beverly Hills area, Miracle Mile, Museum Row. They took him to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, which is in Beverly Hills. So let you know how close it was. It was not what you consider some hood place. This was a high-scale, historic neighborhood. I actually went there this past summer to pay my respects at the corner of Wilshire and Fairfax. And right across the street from the Peterson Automotive Museum is actually this famous historic landmark in L.A. known as Johnny's Coffee Shop. Now, you might not be familiar with Johnny's Coffee Shop, or you may be familiar because it was a part of several cult classic movies. Reservoir Dogs was shot at Johnny's Coffee Shop. You know, Reservoir Dogs by Quentin Tarantino. Also, The Big Lebowski was shot at the coffee shop. And some other movies, but it also served as one of the campaign headquarters for Bernie Sanders while he was running for president back in 2016. So back in July 2017, when I went to visit the place, they still had a lot of Bernie Sanders paraphernalia up there. So I thought it was interesting. So I redubbed that intersection. You got one part of the intersection right across the street on Fairfax is Johnny Coffee Shop, which was known as Bernie's, and a failed presidential campaign. Then right across for that is where they killed Notorious B.I.G. On Wilshire. So I call that the intersection of broken dreams. That's the intersection where dreams come to die. See how it works. So yeah, Notorious B.I.G. Notorious B.I.G. is one of the all-time greats. Cannabis had that famous line from back in the 90s when he was taking on A.L.L. Cool J, when they was going that beef rap and battle rap. He said the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. He said the greatest rapper of all time died on March 9th. Now, that may be debatable, but hell, Biggie was phenomenal. And not because the way he died. I know he had a song said, "You're nobody till somebody kills you." Yeah, a lot of times people don't remember how you live, but rather how you die. You become infamous in that way. Because Bugsy Siegel, the gangster who helped develop what is known as Las Vegas, he did not found or discover Las Vegas. Las Vegas already existed, but he helped added a certain element to Las Vegas that amplified and took it to the next level, shot it into the stratosphere. He actually was killed himself in Beverly Hills, not that far from the Beverly Hills Hotel where Whitney Houston was found suspectly, dead under suspect circumstances. So I mean, it's interesting. It's really L.A. confidential. L.A. confidential with 3 K's instead of a C. It's L.A. confidential. So, yeah, and it's the Ides of March. Y'all familiar with Shakespeare's play about Julius Caesar? He was killed during the Ides of March. Beware the Ides of March. And, B.I.G., he was taken out of here March 9th, 1997. And also, today, this Monday, if I'm not mistaken, marks another anniversary of a legend. I'm trying to make sure I got it right. Yeah, because, like I said, this is a one-man operation for the most part. I am looking this year to expand my territory. But it's like Charlie Parker. We lost Charlie Parker March 12th, 1955. The Ides of March. This is like a bad luck month. And then you got April. It's like April is unique in itself because April is the month when legends are born. I was born on April 23rd. You have so many jazz greats like Duke Ellington, Charles Mingus, Billie Holiday, Paul Robeson. The great Paul Robeson was born April 9th. Eddie Murphy. I want to say Al Green, Booker T. Washington. So many phenomenal black people were born in the month of April. But also we lost some significant people in the month of April. Think about April 4th. We lost Dr. King April 4th, 1968. It's the 50th anniversary. I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. You know anything about We All Be? We have done extensive coverage into the assassination of Dr. King. You got our playlist. Like I said, we cover a lot of ground. And basically, for the most part, We All Be as an organization is not a big organization. It's just me and my mom. She's my #1 fan. She does a lot of unsung work. We are doing some incredible work here. We doing real God work at We All Be. But my goal is to hopefully connect with people that really want to do the work, the God work with us, who feel like it's their calling to do some of the things that we're doing right now out in the community. But yeah, we lost Charlie Parker March 12th, 1955. He actually died at the Stanhope Hotel. He was there with the Jazz Baroness. She's part of the Rothschild family. She's, part of that banking dynasty. But she was really a patron of jazz musicians. Let's Google up the Jazz Baroness. I call it the Jazz Baroness. But not only did Charlie Parker die in her house or in her home, but some years later, Thelonious Monk, the great Thelonious Spear Monk, one of the architects along with Charlie Parker of modern music, in particular modern jazz, he died at her home in New Jersey. So two jazz greats, two musical geniuses, two black men died in the home, in the presence of the Jazz Baroness, who was an heir to the Rothschilds banking dynasty. So a lot of you conspiracy people out there, y'all know about the Rothschilds and all that stuff, the New World Order, all that stuff. So take a look. It's all online. But yeah, I hope y'all can hear me out there. Yeah, but this is an interesting month. April is also a month for white inferiority. We lost Dr. King. Walter Scott was also killed on April 4th, 2015. You have a lot of things. Thank you. You like my hat, Hannah Demers. I appreciate it. We lost Hitler was born in April. April in Paris. I'm thinking about Charlie Parker. But you have so many things. Oklahoma City bombing. The Rodney King riots, they all happened in April. It's interesting times we're living in. It's the zeitgeist, the spirit of the times that we're living in is very compelling. But I guess I got some people talking about Wakanda. All right, shout out to Wakanda. And what I want to get into, because basically it's important stuff that's happened in the news cycle. We talk about the Oscars. I was really surprised that KoBE Bryant, he's one of my favorite basketball players of all time. But I was surprised that they allowed him to win an Oscar, considering the climate of the time with the Me Too and all that stuff. And his brush with the law concerning so-called rape. And I don't believe he raped a white girl. He actually settled with her, and they said she had several types of semen inside of her, so she was a semen bank. I'm not making fun of the light of it, but KoBE had to give his wife, who he's still married to, at $4 million ring. He was just guilty of cheating. I think more so than actually raping somebody, he was guilty of cheating. And he should have learned from Emmett Till. You don't go to strange places that you are familiar with. You don't go from big city L.A. to go to Back Creek Water, Colorado, to do those type of things. You know what I'm saying? There's places you can go, even as black man. Like I said, the title is No Country for Black Man. Even as a black man, even if you're a celebrity, even if you got means, we have seen in the past years how that can't save you from this system of white inferiority, this mob mentality. But I was surprised actually when KoBE won. Congrats to KoBE for the Oscar. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats. He finally did something Michael Jordan never did, which was win an Oscar. Michael Jordan couldn't argue. He probably could have arguably, Space Jam could probably won an Oscar for something. But it's all political. Oscars are political like any award. It's a very political award. It's about self-promotion. It's an industry creation. The industry created the Oscars to promote their industry, like any award, like the Grammys or anything. And a lot of people put stock into these type of industry wins. Like, it feels good to be respected by your peers. Don't get me wrong. It feels great to be respected by your peer group. But at the same time, there are so many people who were phenomenal at their craft who was never properly recognized in their profession. You can name a whole bunch of great talent in movie history who were never properly recognized for their contribution to the genre. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock, highly influential director, never won a competitive Oscar. They gave him a Lifetime Achievement Award Oscar, but he never won one as far as being a competitor. And that's interesting because if you talk to a lot of filmmakers today, they probably hold him in high esteem in terms of what he brought to his craft. It's like same thing with Grammys. Tupac, arguably one of the most influential hip-hop rappers or musicians of his era and of all time. And it's funny, you could talk about the controversies. People talk about how certain people are not respecting his legacy. But all these people talking about how Tupac's legacy is not respected. He never won a Grammy. He is the only artist in music history to have a #1 album debut #1 on the Billboard charts while in prison. That's unique. That's legendary status right there. The fact that he would be in prison and his album debuts at #1 on the Billboard chart. He has some of the most phenomenal songs. He was a gifted lyricist. Who can argue with Brenda's Got a Baby? Dear Mama. Man, my mama loved that song, Dear Mama. She loved Brenda's Got a Baby. Tupac had a way of telling stories. It's like b.i.g. was a phenomenal storyteller. b.i.g. is fascinating to me because you look at his lyrics now in retrospect. He has some questionable lyrics. Like he talks about pedophilia. He talks about homoerotic situations. Not homophobic, because people will call it homophobic, but I believe more homoerotic if you listen to some of his stuff, especially, Me and My Bitch, that song Me and My Bitch, he talking about the girl was so fine, he sucked the daddy dick, then he talking about in Beef, kidnap them like kids and fuck them in their ass and throw them over the bridge. This goes to Beef off of Life After Death and listen to Me and My Bitch from Ready to Die. He says some very homoerotic, questionable stuff, but it's art. He's an artist, and he's a phenomenal storyteller. Because I can close my eyes, listen to B.I.G., and he paints a picture so well, like a Michelangelo or somebody. He knows how to tell stories with words. And like the great Dr. Black, who's a master teacher located in Memphis, say, your words create worlds. Your words create worlds. So I always tell people, B.I.G. didn't know his power. Because you think about it. What was the name of his first album? It was Ready to Die. And what was the name of his second album? Life After Death. When did his second album come out? After he was killed in L.A. See how it works? See how it works? So, I don't want to drag too much, but yeah. March 12th, today is the anniversary of Charlie Parker's death. Today. And, I know I'm getting all over the place, but yeah, I was just surprised with this. Getting back to the Oscars, that KoBE Bryant, and KoBE Bryant, y'all forget he tried to rap. He was on a Brian McKnight song back in the day, some years ago. Thank God that he stuck to basketball. He's a much better basketball player than he was a rapper. I think actually his former LA Lakers teammate Cedric Ceballos was a better rapper than KoBE. But I also think that Shaquille O'Neal was a great rapper, actually. Shaquille can actually rap. I remember him with Foo Snickens, What's Up Doc, and all that stuff. And I remember that song, My Father's Day Anthem, My Biological Didn't Bother, or something like that. He had that famous line, what people do for money. Shaq can actually rap, man, because he had a song with B.I.G, You Can't Stop the Rain. The fact that he could hold his own, or maybe B.I.G ghost wrote those lyrics, but Shaq had a great delivery. He had a great flow to him. Let's go back and listen to some of the Shaq stuff. It's very listenable. You know, I guarantee it. You know, but yeah, I was surprised KoBE was, Shaq was a great rapper, actually. I think Shaq was gifted, man. People underrate Shaq. Shaq was really a force of nature. I mean, he was an all-time great center. I think people didn't think he really took his basketball game seriously. You know, like Kobe Bryant would say that, you know, Shaq didn't really take preparation seriously, because Kobe Bryant was that man was a beast when it came to preparation. You know what I'm saying? He practiced like obsessively, you know, in the off season. He trained like a madman. But Shaq was type of dude, you know, he would play himself into shape. And maybe that cost him, in a lot of people's eyes, he probably could have had better numbers. I mean, he already had great numbers, of course. But he probably could have had not only better numbers, but he probably could have lasted a little bit longer than NBA if he took in better care of himself. But the thing about it is, it's like Babe Ruth. I mean, maybe he could have been an even better player if he had stopped eating all those hot dogs and root beer and drinking all that root beer, right? But evidently he was doing something right. Because he was out hitting the league in home runs at one point. You know, I don't know what type of steroids they had back in 1921, but he was doing something right. Maybe they had a different type of hot dog and root beer back then. I don't know. But anyway, with Shaq, it does not take away from his legacy. He's still one of the all-time greats. And it could be said that KoBE might not would have won a ring if it wasn't for Shaq being there, because Shaq was really a luxury. When you think about it, even with Penny Hardaway and Kobe Bryant and D Wade, when you had a Shaq in his prime, or even a Shaq that was a little bit past his prime, it still was a luxury for a up and coming player to have. I don't know if KoBE could develop into D Kobe Bryant without Shaq being there at those early years, because Shaq was a luxury. Because even with Penny Hardaway, and I'm a Memphian, and I look forward to seeing the University of Memphis being led by Penny Hardaway. I think Penny Hardaway is really going to be a great coach, a great college basketball coach. He's already proven himself at the high school ranks. I mean, he could be Calipari 2.0. You know what I'm saying? He could be Calipari. I'm looking forward to seeing that. But at the same time, we could go on and on. But Shaq, I mean, people think he was too, joke around too much. But Shaq is a serious person. You think about it, especially when it comes to his business. Think about the comedy All-Star shows he would do during NBA All-Star weekend. He helped, discover a lot of great comedians. I mean, Kevin Hart really had a breakthrough on one of those Shaq comedy All-Star shows he do during the All-Star weekend. You know, people like Cat Williams come through, Tommy Davidson. A lot of great comedians would come through on those shows, but a lot of them would actually make most of their opportunity. So with KoBE, I was surprised when they allowed him to win the Oscar. It really was a shock to me, because if y'all can recall, back in 2003, they thought it was going to be the end of the road. They thought it would be like a Boys to Man moment, the end of the road for Kobe Bryant back in 2003 when those alleged rape allegations broke out in the media. And this is before social media, but Kobe was facing real jail time. Not only was he facing the end of his career, but also he was facing real jail time. Like his career, I mean, he was a young man at the time, and he was still in his prime. He was about to get into his real prime. But I'm saying Kobe was probably the best player in the league in 2003. Because you got to remember, when did LeBron James come out? LeBron James didn't even play his first NBA professional game in 2003 when that rape stuff came out against Kobe. So Kobe was the face of the league. You understand? He was the guy. doing those Nike commercials and McDonald's commercials. He was being groomed to be the next Michael Jordan. You remember like how they were trying to get Grant Hill to be the next Michael Jordan in terms of the face of the league and also #1 pitchman. But Grant Hill, he had talent, but he just didn't have I guess the body, or his health would allow him. His health would not allow him to achieve his greatness, because Grant Hill, had he not gotten hurt so much, would have easily been a first ballot Hall of Famer. No doubt in my mind, because Grant Hill had a phenomenal game. But yeah, KoBE was going to be the next Michael Jordan in terms of endorsements. And when that thing happened in 2003, things went south for him. Things dried up. The writing was on the wall. But you got to remember that season, 2003-2004 season, that the Lakers brought in Karl Malone and Gary Payton. It's their last chance to win a championship. And that team was amazing to me. And I often wonder sometimes, had it not been for that rape trial, could the Lakers have won that championship that year? It was amazing to me that they got that far to the championship round. And that really speaks to KoBE greatness. He's dealing with that stuff in Colorado, Beaver Creek or some Colorado place, and he's flying, like Dave Chappelle make a joke about it. If he had a bad game, white folks would have thought he'd been guilty as hell. KoBE went 0 for 20. He's guilty. Send that nigga to jail. But, he was having phenomenal games under that type of pressure. He was having, a great year in spite of having a bad year. Sky Logan said KoBE cheated on his fine wife. Damn, remember Chris Rock said he would trade his wife and aunts for her. What an idiot at the time. Yeah, no, people all make, we all make mistakes. But the thing about celebrities and the average person is that the celebrity has the spotlight on them. So it's easy to call them idiots and whatnot. But people make these mistakes all the time in the dark. And he's not the only person who have cheated on his spouse, and he won't be the last person, of course, to have cheated on his spouse. But at the same time, he is still with his wife Vanessa. I believe they have 3 daughters. I said that's the player's curse. You notice how a lot of these guys who are known for being ladies' man and all this stuff, a lot of times they end up having a lot of girls, a lot of daughters. And maybe that's a good and bad thing, because at least they can tell their daughters that they're good fathers about men like them. Yeah, KoBE was very young. He went straight from high school to the pros, right? But KoBE was also in a lot of ways very mature. But at the same time, KoBE was interesting to me, because KoBE had a unique background growing up. Kind of almost like a Barack Obama background. His father was a professional basketball player, but he also lived overseas, grew up in Italy, very fluent in Italian. Just had a different background than a lot of the players that came out the States, a lot of black basketball players. And a lot of times I think he alienated himself because of the way he was. Maybe he wasn't a people person at that time. But I do not agree with the narrative that he was a bad teammate. You can't win 5 championships out of 7 tries being a bad teammate. You can't play the way he played, because basketball is a team sport. And regardless how much KoBE shot the ball, he still had to share the ball some type of way to win championships. Okay? So, like, somebody made a great point a couple of years ago about how once they put a narrative out on you, it becomes your narrative, regardless of who you really are. Once the media sticks a narrative on you, that becomes your entire story. So it could be possible that KoBE pissed out some people in the media, and they said, well, to hell with this KoBE guy. He won't grant me an interview, or he didn't say the thing I want him to say. So I'm just going to paint him as a bad teammate. Although it may not be true, by people believing it and circulating around, it becomes the truth. That's how stuff works. That's why you got to be careful about what you say and who you say it to. And that's why it's important to have counter narratives that we offer on We All Be radio and news and TV and all this stuff. This is why I created this platform, to have a counter narrative to the official story. Because a lot of times the official story is the official lie agreed upon by the powers that be. So KoBE really, after 2003, didn't really get that image he had at first. His innocence was lost. He did recover, though, actually nicely. He had this stellar Hall of Fame career. He won more championships. He got more endorsements. Hell, he got an Oscar in spite of what happened in 2003. And people don't understand, is that, you know, to accuse a black man of that, of rape or any type of sex assault crime or sex crime is very serious, with serious consequences. You know, KoBE Bryant was blessed that he did not end up like an Emmett Till, that he did not end up like a Willie McGee, that he did not end up like a lot of black men throughout the history of this country who did not get a fair trial or a trial by a jury of their peers, who was left, whose fate was decided by an angry white mob, who all they saw was red bloodlust. Well, y'all gotta understand too that lynching, a classic lynching, is about control, it's about power, just like rape. It's about control, it's about power. I actually look at lynchings as being sex crimes. I look at lynchings as being sex crimes. I look at it as being a form of a sexual ritual for white inferiority. It's a form of sex magic. And I talked about on the show before about Aleister Crowley and sex magic. You know, you got people that worship all types of stuff, but you should look that up online. Google sex magic. But KoBE was lucky that he escaped, not only, you know, with his career and with his marriage and all, but with his balls. Because a black man's balls have never been protected in this country. When has a black man's balls ever been protected in this country? We're just talking about Terry Crews. You know, the same week they allow KoBE to win an Oscar, because they allow him to win that. You gotta understand, that's about power. Because you gotta think about, look what happened to Nate Parker last year with The Birth of a Nation. The Birth of the Nation should have been doing Black Panther numbers to a certain degree. The Birth of a Nation was going to be Nate Parker's Dancing with Wolves and Braveheart. Because like Kevin Costner and Mel Gibson, he directed and starred in this movie inspired by true events. So this was going to be his coming out party. Nate Parker was going to be on the A-list. He might have won the Oscar last year, even the Best Director Oscar. I mean, he would have been up there with Denzel. We had his Fences, and he would have had Nate Parker. But instead, they gave it to Casey Affleck. And the interesting thing is, Nate Parker was cleared in a court of law by white people. They did not find him guilty. They exonerated him. Although his friend, who was a screenwriter on The Birth of a Nation movie, was also involved in that situation. He was never fully exonerated through the courts, but somehow the case got thrown out or whatever, it stalled. But at the same time, they destroyed Nate Parker's career and his chance to win an Oscar. Just like they did this year with James Franco. I really do believe that James Franco would have won an Oscar for his movie, The Disaster Artist. I saw that movie, the first time I saw that movie, I said, well, James Franco going to win an Oscar. He's going to be nominated at least, but he's going to win the Oscar for Disaster Artist, the best actor, and quite possibly best director. Because he also, that's going to be his star vehicle. But yeah, he was cut down at the last moment by the Time's Up, It's Me, or Me Too movement. And my thing about the Me Too movement and the Time's Up, this stuff going to backfire. Because it's a problem to me. Because there's a lot of men that have been abused by both men and women in this system, in this so-called culture of rape. Look what happened to Terry Crews. You know, look what happened to Terry Crews. Terry Crews, name me when a black man balls ever been protected in this country, called America. Terry Crews, the DA said that it was confirmed that the man, the super agent that worked for William Morris, Adam Bennett, violated Terry Crews, but it was like they couldn't press charges due to a technicality. He waited too long, but also it's kind of like one of them rules where you catch a ball in the NFL, but it don't say it's a catch because it's something like you jiggle the ball. You jiggling, baby. Go ahead, baby. You jiggling, baby. Like they jiggle his balls some type of way. So basically Terry Crews, the man jiggled his balls, but Terry Crews didn't give the proper response to the man jiggling his balls. And to me, somebody jiggle your balls, it's kind of like, what the hell? You know, I don't think he was expecting that. You know what I'm saying? So what would be the proper response? They didn't say the statutes of limitations ran out. And so here's my thing about that. I post on Facebook when I heard about it. So I want to tell you about the power of the media. Because also, y'all support the We All Be movement. This is why it's important to have this. Because people don't understand I built this from the organic. This is from the ground up. This has not been endorsed by corporations. I don't have any backing from George Soros. Trust me, if I had backing from George Soros, I wouldn't be in a hotel room broadcasting through a Wi-Fi situation. I would have a studio somewhere. But I want to read what I wrote on Facebook and some of the responses. And I think it's sad that a lot of times, you know, people are, sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. Because a lot of things get misconstrued on social media. And a lot of people take things out of context. This is what I said when I heard the news on Friday. I said, Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. And a woman, I would call her sister, but I can't be a sister. I'm not related to her biologically speaking. But as far as being humanity, H-U-E, humanity, I a lot of times call people brother and sister because we're part of the human family. So let me just read what I said on my social media. Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. So if you hear what I just said, I'm not comparing Terry Crews with Bill Cosby. I'm saying I'm looking at the situation of Terry Crews accusing somebody with power and privilege, how he's being treated versus how some of the accusers of Bill Cosby are being treated. Like, why is there a statute of limitations on his situation versus Bill Cosby accuser where they can bring up stuff that happened 50 years ago or plus or more? And what I'm saying is, I'm not even talking about the justification of the law. People say, well, you look at the laws, one's civil and one's criminal. This is a bullshit. There's no country for black men. I already told you it's the Dred Scott rule. You have no rights that the white man is bound to respect. You know your descendants. They told Dred Scott, you have, September 1857, you have no rights that a white man is bound to respect you or your descendants. We are the descendants of Dred Scott. If you are so-called black in America, if you had family, if you descended from people who were prisoners of war, who were called slaves by some and prisoners of war by others, then you are in that Dred Scott boat. So fuck all that law stuff. People act like the law applies to black folks correctly. We're black. Black is a color in the crayon box. But here's the thing. Take a look. It's all online. Check out the movie Ragtime. Someone dropped that for y'all. The movie Ragtime. I believe that was James Cagney's last movie he did. Or one of his last movies. It starred Howard Rollins from A Soldier Story. I love that movie. All them great actors, you know, a young Denzel, a brother from Memphis. I forgot his name. He died young. Adolph Caesar. Howard Rollins was in it. I think Robert Townsend, but Soldier Story. But look at the movie called Ragtime, starring Howard Rollins. That came out in the 80s. And it was interesting because Howard Rollins was this gifted piano player. He had this brand new Model T Ford, I believe. And these white firemen basically vandalized his car. I think they dumped like horse shit and stuff like that in his car. A brand new car. And he was trying to get his grievance addressed through the so-called system, the white man's law. Every time he went to a organizational institute, they say, well, we can't handle this for you. Go here. He'll go there. Then they refer him somewhere else. He was got me going in circles. He was going in circles trying to get his grievance addressed. The same folks who put the shit in his car are the same people that refuse to hear his grievance out and to give him justice. So his fiancée, played by Debbie Allen, when she heard that the president of the United States was coming to town, she tried to meet him at the train station to let the president of the United States know how they was doing her future husband. She ended up getting her ass beat by the Secret Service, and she ended up dying not too long after that. And it broke Howard Rollins. It's kind of like that story in Missouri, outside of St. Louis, about this brother named Cookie, who shot up the city hall and killed some politicians, including the mayor at the city hall, because he felt like he was being targeted. He was a targeted individual. And they'll give him like these parking tickets that were very obscene, because he ran his own company. This happened recently in the last 10 or 15 years. Because time go by so fast. But look at Cookie. This brother named Cookie shot up this city hall in this town outside of St. Louis. He felt like he was being treated disrespectfully by the system because he was a businessman, an entrepreneur. He was getting these all type of these citations, these parking citations that were adding up to the thousands, the tens of thousands of dollars. He was trying to get his grievance addressed through the courts, through the system, and even he'll try to speak out at City Hall, but they end up like banning him from City Hall. You know how you have some those forums where citizens are allowed to speak to the city council or whatever, like, you know, it's open to the public. Maybe you sign up on a sheet and they give you so much time to air your thoughts or points of views or grievance. I believe he was even banned from doing that, and it became a joke to the establishment. So when he got the last and final nail in that coffin, literally, he went berserk. It's kind of like you can compare it to Michael Douglas falling down. Like when Michael Douglas played the movie Falling Down, he was like a live action version of Dilbert. You know what I'm saying? But getting back, but check out the movie Ragtime. See, from time to time, my shows, I try to point y'all to sources like movies and books and other people to do your research, because my job is not to do your work for you. My job is to be just a thought provocateur, to get you to think about stuff. So check it out. So yeah. So I was saying that I was actually being supportive of Terry Crews. But this is what the feedback I got from a sister who used to be my Facebook friend. I don't believe in censorship. I'm going to talk about this before the end of the show. But this was the pushback I got from her and some other people. If I could find everything. I think some people delete their comments. It's funny how people delete their stuff. But hopefully I can find out some of the stuff she was saying in this and share it with you all. There's so much going on. Time go by so fast. I can't believe it's almost April. It's about to be spring. We just sprang forward, you know. So already we on the doorsteps of April. So let me find that thing. So I want to share it. So and I don't debate. I don't do Facebook debates with people. I'm too goddamn busy. I'm busy. I don't see how people got the time. I still can't figure out how so many people got the time to do all this live streaming stuff. Like folks just constantly doing stuff. I mean, you constantly hearing from people. Sometimes they ain't talking about nothing. Sometimes they are talking about some great stuff. But like I said, I'm a one-man movement basically. I be out on the road, man. I'm like in hotels right now. I'm trying to find a place to put roots in, put my roots down. So I've just been moving around, man. I've literally been driving around the country. And if you want me to stop by your place, you know, do some type of lecture or some type of meeting, whatever, set it up, you know. Drop me a line. You got my contact information subscription box. Also drop a donation or a donation. You know, do a super chat here right now, live streaming. Or you can do something in PayPal, make a one-time payment or a recurring payment. Or you can do that at patreon.com at /WeAllBe, or you can buy some We All Be gear. Artivist art that you can wear. There's art from the Artivist. So all that stuff is listed in the subscription box below. But let me find this conversation. Once again, this is what I wrote, and I want to read stuff and let you understand the power of being a thought provocateur. I said Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. And I was just saying that, you know what I'm saying? I didn't say, keep that in mind. I did not compare Bill Cosby with Terry Crews or vice versa. I was talking about the situation that the accusers in both stories, the type of treatment they have gotten, you know, by the system. So what they said, let me see. So I said that part. This white guy wrote. He said, this guy wrote this. His name's Shaw. He always come to be the contrarian. It's like Malcolm said, you got some people, they only respond to be contrary to you. They'll set up some people. Y'all got this thing about white allies. I don't have any white allies like that. The greatest white ally that black folks ever had in this country was John Brown. And a lot of them cats ain't like John Brown. Tim Wise is no level of a John Brown. I'm sorry, y'all. What about Tim Wise? None of these white folks is on the level of John Brown. John Brown was not only willing to give his life, but he sacrificed the life of his large family. A lot of his sons were killed and trying to liberate black people. I don't see no white folks putting their lives or their family lives or livelihoods on the line for black people in that way. So you got these folks that pop up. He try, he try to pose as an ally, but really he's being condescending and disrespectful. Okay, he's saying, I don't talk to this guy on a regular at all. He said, you keep forgetting that Bill Cosby admitted his actions and his response to a lawsuit. You weren't framed if you admit you did it. His excuse, it would be nice to be white. No, that was his excuse. Excuse me, y'all. His excuse that the women expected to take drugs was lame and ridiculous. And there's the outlandish conspiracy theory that some nebulous day conspired to destroy Cosby because he was going to buy NBC. Assuming that Cosby even had enough money to buy NBC, which I doubt because I'm white and male and I know everything about everybody's money and financial situation, including their credit score. I said the ad-libbing, okay? He didn't say it, but he said, assuming that Cosby even had enough money to buy NBC, which I doubt, I have not seen one shred of credible evidence that Cosby had any plans to purchase NBC. Bill Cosby is a rapist. End of story. Now, this is fascinating. He said he has not seen one shred of credible evidence. Who is he? Is he Robert Mueller? Is he the prosecutor? Is he the judge? Who the hell is he? He's just a dude on Facebook commenting on a post that I made. But if he does not see it, if he does not approve, and he said Bill Cosby is a rapist, end of story, I guess his white man word is the final word. He's not even a judge. Who the hell is he? End of story. Who the fuck you talking to, player? That's that same mentality that get folks killed. That's that same way of thinking that gets folks killed. That get people pulled out of jail cells in the middle of the night and hanged and mutilated and castrated. That same type of thinking. That's that white man thinking. That white father thinking. And this dude and I, we're around the same age, right? So here's the problem with that. One day, I'm going to try to get Ed Weinberger on the show. Ed Weinberger used to write jokes for GREgory and Bill Cosby. Ed Weinberger was the guy behind The Cosby Show. Ed Weinberger was going to buy NBC with Bill Cosby. Let me get another white man who actually knows about the story to talk about the story. How about that? But I'm saying, this dude wanted to go out of his way to discredit me. What did I say? But he's telling us that Bill Cosby was a rapist. It's like some Quincy Jones. Was you there, Mr. Shaw? Was you there? Was you there doing Selma? And when Emmett Till got kidnapped, how you know everything? How you so certain, white man? See, that's the type of mentality that you deal with. That's why I don't do Facebook debates or any type of social media debates. I said that's so 2010. Then the black woman comes along. And like I said before, I love black women. My mom was black. And the people who believe in me, a lot of them are black women. But this black woman in particular, I had a chance to interact with her on the phone and whatnot. And we all going through stuff. I don't know a person's story. I don't know people's story. I don't know what people been through. We all, as black people in general, we're dealing with trauma because we in this system that does not respect our humanity. But it's sad to me a lot of times that anger, that bitterness, that trauma get misdirected. And like I said, if you listen to what I said, I didn't say anything about Terry Crews being like Bill Cosby. I said, I look at how when he's accusing some powerful white person or powerful privileged person of a sex crime, how he's being treated. The system acknowledged that the crime was committed, but because of a technicality and because of statute of limitations and some other technicalities, we cannot proceed with a trial, with justice. So this is what this sister said. And I think she deleted some of her stuff, which is interesting, because she said a whole bunch of stuff. Even with his amendments, statute of limitations prevented criminal cases to be opened on those cases. But we like to lie so we can claim that the rules are bent to persecute black men despite black men, despite the fact that Bill Cosby had lived a free life, despite his amendments. But he's a black man, so even with his amendments, he's still framed and set up. LOL. This is why I can't deal with fake woke black folks. We'll blatantly lie knowing they are lying. What I'm lying about? What did I say about Bill Cosby? I didn't talk about his innocence or guilt in my post. What is she talking about? All the name calling, all the disrespect. I refer to this sister as Sister Patrice. I gave her respect. What is all this name calling? What's the needful name? Fake, woke black folks. This sister never met me in person before. We just had a phone conversation. She don't know nothing about me. Like that, I just thought this interesting. But, what is all that coming from? There's got to be some trauma. She erased some of her stuff. Which is interesting. Why are people trying to that's another thing about people who are trying to rewrite history. I mean, she said what she said. You can't take those words back. You need to screenshot this stuff. But another brother Avelino, he's a good brother. He's one of these woke people that she's referring to, I guess. These fake woke black folks. Now, he's a very insightful, beautiful spirit, talented musician, gifted guitarist. But he says this in response. Thus far, the civil cases of Cosby have been dropped and or shown him not guilty, with several accusers admitting to have lied. That Cosby was intimate with several women, even he has yet to deny. But rape, it is very difficult to comprehend the possibility of a black man raping a white woman and getting away with it, given the social climate at the time Cosby was alleged to have done so. Raping multiple white women? Not in America. His career started at a time when to merely look unapprovingly at a white woman could cost you your life. The pages of history are filled with the lynchings of innocent black men based on the false accusations of white women. Remember, Cosby didn't always have the clout in Hollywood that many have come to know him for. Post-Huxtable, he, like other black entertainers in Vegas, were prohibited from staying in the very hotel they perform in. They had to stay in the colored section. The racial climate was such that no white woman would ever be intimidated by star power of a black man to the point that she would hesitate to accuse a black man of a charge as serious as rape. Let me tell you something. Sammy Davis Jr. was around at the time Cosby, this would be the 50s and the 60s. Do y'all understand how they treated Sammy Davis Jr.? He was about to get it on with Kim Novak. She was one of the hottest Hollywood sex symbols at that time. Kim Novak was one of the hottest white women on the planet. And you had the head of a studio. They wanted the mob to hit Sammy Davis Jr. They wanted this prominent head of a studio wanted Sammy Davis Jr. dead because he was courting Kim Novak. You look all this stuff up. A very well-known studio head. He was no guy off the street. This guy was highly respected, very powerful man in Hollywood and entertainment industry. He had a contract on the life of Sammy Davis Jr. because he was messing around with Kim Novak. I have heard stories from old timers. They talk about how Sammy Davis Jr. didn't lose his eye in a car accident. His eye was knocked out by some goons. And that's another story. And they trying to say it was in the connection with another famous Hollywood white woman. And, like a friend of mine said, nobody dies a natural death in showbiz. Showbiz is strange. So this is around the same time that Cosby is accused of raping white women. In this same era, it was a few years before the killing of Emmett Till in Money, Mississippi. Now, I'm not trying to give Cosby an out, but my thing had nothing to do with Cosby. I was not commenting on his case. I was talking about the statute of limitations of hypocrisy. I was also talking about the fact that the system acknowledged that Terry Crews was violated by this white man with power and privilege, but yet they said because of a technicality The way he touched the balls. Like how the NFL said, yes, it's a catch, but it's not really a catch. Yes, it's sexual assault, but it's not really sexual assault. This is the bullshit they're passing, right? So that my brother AJ, thanks for looking out. But she said some other stuff. Let me read this again. Okay, yeah. She said, no, this is Sister Patrice. No, you are spreading false information. Civil suits do not have the same statuses as criminal suits. So yes, the women would have sued criminally were recent cases. Please be responsible in what you spread. Yeah, right. Sister, are you even listening? I know y'all enjoying this, and I know y'all can hear this. Let me know if you can hear it. I have not looked in the chat room. I hope somebody donated something. What I say? My response to her, Sister Patrice, no country for black men. Loopholes and double standards still apply. It is what it is. Somewhere, as Baba would say, somewhere. You know. And then she said, just alone. She wouldn't have that many followers on social media, but they have the longest responses. Sometimes people try to get fame off your name. They try to come up on you. It's like if you're a whale and they are barnacles. You know what barnacles are? Those are things that be riding the whales. They be attached to the whales. Like I'm a whale and she a barnacle trying to come up on me. Moby Dick. She said, there are no loopholes. There are statutes that prevented criminal prosecution for those cases. You can speak in riddles, but your post is not the truth. Who said my post supposed to be the truth on the cases? I don't understand that. The 50 plus women that spoke out were not at all able to open criminal cases. Some of them actually did before the statutes were up. The criminal case that was actually open, it was a recent crime where the statutes were not up. Obviously, you know you're not telling the truth here. What the hell? I'm not even talking about the case. I'm just making a statement. Where is she pulling this stuff from, right? This is why I don't do the debates on Facebook. But people are so asocial now. They're so antisocial and asocial that the art of the small talk is obsolete. People don't even know how to small talk no more, let alone flirt. People are not comfortable in their own skin. So this sister is talking about stuff. She having a flashback. Because I didn't talk anything about Cosby case. I didn't talk about that. I was making a statement and it provoked thought. Okay, I'm guilty of being a thought provocateur. How about that? I provoke some thought and people take it where they want to take it, down a rabbit hole. And she said, don't call me sis. Also, you certainly are not my brother. Yeah, she's attractive. And if there'll be incest. So I agree with her, but I was calling it out of respect and solidarity with humanity. That's why I call people brother and sister. You might not be my biological, but you're still part of the human family. So, this is what she said again. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. Note that all the people that put out these statistics and whatnot, and the white father figure who was so authoritative said, end of story. He did not cite anything. He did not provide links. He just talking out his ass like she talking out her ass. I call them the wind talkers. The movie Wind Talkers, never mind. It's not the same thing. But I call them the wind talkers. They talk out their ass. But anyway, she gonna put out this stat. I'm gonna be impressed with that because she put it as numerics. So no links to anything. No links to any type of documents. But here you go. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. But you are spreading lies about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Crews is an innocent man. What did I say about Bill? I didn't talk about Bill Cosby's ass. I didn't talk about his penis. I didn't talk about his pudding pops. I didn't talk about anything about Bill Cosby like that. I just made some type of catchy, short, to the point commentary quote. Good for people's short attention span. And she writing novels and dissertations off of what I didn't say. So people hear what they want to hear. People see what they want to see. And you can't worry about that. But I just want y'all to understand the power of media. The programming that people are on. Especially, black men and black women. We got to understand that we missing something that 50 years ago, those brothers and sisters understood. When we work together and stand together in solidarity, nobody can defeat us. But I got a black woman that's attacking me for some imaginary thing I didn't say. I don't understand. But let me read what she says. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18. But you are spreading lies. She got the capitalized, all caps, lies. God damn it, lies about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Crews is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted rapist. I'm not even comparing. I did not compare Terry Crews to Bill Cosby. And I'm not going to call Bill Cosby a rapist because the media say he's a rapist. The media rapes your mind every day. Advertisers rape our minds. Everybody's mind fucking us every day. And you talking about some rapists? Get out of here. Come on. I had no thoughts about Bill Cosby, what he did or didn't do, or they claim he did. Let me see. Terry Crews is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted rapist. Black men don't progress because you have no concern for the consequences of your words and your lies that you know, she capitalized, no, that you tell. In the words to quote Shaq, what people do for money. How powerful would it be if you actually advocated for Terry Crews? She capitalized Terry Crews, a victim here, capitalized a victim here. If you wanted to relate this to history and how black men are victimized sexually, you could have spoken about how many black men are sexually assaulted but don't speak out. You could have discussed the history of white folks assaulting black men, but you know, you can't go too deeply in discussing that because you wouldn't want to make the foolish black men that worship their asses actually look like fools. They have all this venom, this bitterness, this venom and trauma. That's what I'm saying. You are doing Terry Crews a disservice, and he would not be happy with this. Okay, I don't know him. I don't care if he is happy or not. There's so many valid points you could have made in advocacy for black male sexual assault victims, but you chose to lie. She got lies in all caps. So you can place Terry Crews next to a perpetrator. Shake my head. Let me go back. I know I'm reading. She writing like novels, novellas and shit. But let me go back to what I said. I said Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers. I'm comparing Terry Crews with Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-Selma. But I'm talking about, you got all this time for them to bring up all this stuff. Where does it stop? I did not say Terry Crews was like Bill Cosby. The guy who touched Terry Crews could be compared to Bill Cosby. You know, based on what they're saying Bill Cosby did. Okay? But I didn't compare Terry Crews to that. What did think about? See, people don't understand. People online and social media, they hide behind avatars, fake names. I get attacked by people all the time. I got my life out here. My name, my face. I'm not hiding behind them disembodied voice. Listen, I'm an authority figure. I'm not doing that. You see what you see is what you get. People approach me in the streets. People know who I am. They recognize my voice. They recognize me. That's how you build real trust with the people. When people are saying he putting himself out there, I'm already past 30. They start ageism. They start discriminating against you. You old after 30. Because the way the economy is, they're making jobs that a lot of us took for granted obsolete. See, the baby boomers had it good. I talked to my aunt about this. And my aunt talking about some of the men that she had that proposed marriage to her. These men were about taking care of family. They were provider guys. Like them guys that people always talking about. He provided for the family. He was the guys that had the jobs that paid with the insurance and the benefits. But them days are long gone. You ain't gonna find a lot of men that can be able to support a whole family by himself. Not a lot of black men. If you look at the situation. If you look at how black males on the whole are disrespected by this system, there is no respect. Black men are some of the most admired and most hated and disrespected people in America. I know it's hard for people to believe that. We are the most taken advantage of people in America. I'm speaking from my point of view as a black man. I'm advocating for brothers. Like you said, I'm not doing that, Frank. I live my life every day as a black man. I can speak on the traumas that I go through, the shit I remember from my childhood all the way up to this present day. and how I feel like I'm being treated in this country. You got somebody like Dr. Du Bois, whose birthday was February 23rd, which this year marked the 150th anniversary of his debut into this matrix. Dr. Du Bois was one of the greatest intellectuals. People always talk about Einstein. Dr. Du Bois was homegrown, phenomenal, all-world genius. He invented American sociology. He didn't invent no black sociology. He didn't invent no subgenre. He invented the whole fucking academic category of sociology. He did that with grassroots activism. Genius. But like he said, when he was celebrating his, I believe one of his 90th birthdays, he was like in his early 90s, he celebrated his birthday in China. He said on their radio that I did all this stuff from my country, and all my country know me as or treat me as just another nigga. Here's a man who lived almost a century, who was the first black man to get a PhD from Harvard University, one of the founders of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP, the editor of their very influential magazine, The Crisis Magazine, phenomenal intellectual in the classroom and also on the front lines. One of the key advisors, a true Pan-Africanist, one of the key advisors to people like Kwame Nkrumah and other leaders of the newly independent African countries and states. See, people talking about, well, he betrayed Marcus Garvey. You know, you got to understand. You hold it against him. But you got to understand how they manipulate a lot of us to this day. Our leadership has always been compromised. Our so-called leadership always had those type of beefs. But to discredit a man's entire life work based on some disagreement and some damage he done to undermine Marcus Garvey, because they could not get Marcus Garvey without our consent. See, white folks could not get Marcus Garvey without us conspiring with them to get Marcus Garvey. Because you got to understand, let me tell you something. The first person to offer Marcus Garvey a speaking engagement in the States was A. Philip Randolph. Marcus Garvey's pen pal and mentor was Booker T. Washington. Marcus Garvey wrote Booker T. Washington on a consistent basis to inquire how could he start a Tuskegee-like operation in Jamaica. One of the reasons why Marcus Garvey came to America was to meet and hopefully work with Booker T. Washington. Marcus Garvey at one point was open to working with W.E.B. Du Bois, but they had a misunderstanding of falling out. But the thing about Marcus Garvey was he was very charismatic, probably the greatest mass leader we ever had in this country. And Du Bois, although he was very intellectually gifted and he had talents, he was not a leader like Marcus Garvey was. He was not a charismatic figure in that arena. He was not no mass leader like Marcus Garvey. He was a innovator in thought, and he also led in activism. But you had the clash of the Titans, and towards the end, Dr. Du Bois recognized the errors of his ways when it pertained to Marcus Garvey. Just like how Woodrow Wilson used the black leadership to get into office. You had black leaders proclaiming that Woodrow Wilson, this racist white man from Virginia, whose classmate in college was Thomas Dixon, the man who wrote The Klansman, which was the source for the influential and controversial movie The Birth of a Nation. They had black voters believing that he was the next coming to Lincoln. And Du Bois, W. Wells, a lot of them were part of it. And once he got into office and resegregated the federal government, they felt betrayed. Matter of fact, you had William Monroe Trotter, the first black Phi Beta Kappa at Harvard University, also ran the paper The Guardian up in Boston, helped protest against the Birth of a Nation movement. He confronted Woodrow Wilson in the White House. He said some cold crap. He ran it down on Woodrow. And Woodrow was not having it. He banned him from the White House. This is before Kanye West said George Bush doesn't care about black people. William Monroe Trotter told Woodrow Wilson that to his face, eyeball to eyeball, in his home court, that, hey, you don't care about black people. How many of us know about William Monroe Trotter? You know what I'm saying? We don't recognize the righteous ancestors like we should. So what I'm saying is, people got this thing about what Du Bois did. Look, you had a lot of black people working against Garvey, compromised by the system. You got to think about some of the first FBI agents of color were hired to neutralize Marcus Garvey. You had a minister and Marcus Garvey organization named Reverend James Eason. Kind of like, if Garvey was Elijah Muhammad, then Eason would have been like Malcolm X to a certain degree. But he was working with the government to take down Marcus Garvey himself, and he was assassinated at a place known as the Black House in New Orleans. I ain't telling that Marcus Garvey had anything to do with it, but you know what I'm saying? He was assassinated to stop him from undermining Marcus Garvey. Some people thought, hey, we got to take care of this guy. That guy's name is Reverend James Eason. Look him up if you can find any information on him. See, history is more complex than what we understand. It's like with the Talented Tenth. The Talented Tenth was not a bad idea. People talk about, well, no, Du Bois. His name really is Du Bois. W-E-B Du Bois. But because we American, we call it Du Bois or Du Bois or Debo, W-E-B Debo. But what I'm saying is the Talented Tenth was not a bad idea. What happened was because of integration, the head became disconnected from the body. See, our leadership people got bust out of our neighborhoods, out of our communities. So that the people that would have been the leaders, they become alienated from the community. So once they're used up by the white inferiority system, they're spit out. Their bones are spit out back into the community, but they're useless. They're useless because you've been so alienated from your people. Because it's crazy. Some of our strongest institutions in the black community was the black church and the black schools. Once they compromised the black schools, some of the best schools in the country, believe it or not, some of the best schools in the country were black schools during Jim Crow. I can look at in Memphis, where I'm from, a place called Manassas High School. Talking to some of the elders there, who graduated back in the 20s and 30s. At one point in their school, they were sending folks to some of the top educational institutions, black or white, in the country. But now, this same system that had those glory days, these same schools, they had their glory days, they graduating people that can't read. You got folks getting diplomas in high school that can't read or write. That should be a shock to people. Look at Huey Newton. Huey Newton couldn't read or write. He got a degree. He got a high school diploma. He ended up getting his PhD. That's how brilliant we are. You got somebody like Freeway Ricky Ross, who ran, crack cocaine on the West Coast and the Midwest. He couldn't even read. He didn't learn how to read till he was 28 years old. He taught himself how to read at 28 years old. But he was a gifted tennis prodigy, but he didn't know how to read. So it's not impossible for folks to get ahead in life not knowing how to read, but you undercut your potential, though. There's a lot of brilliant, I meet people that talk about, my daddy, elders talk about their fathers who could build homes and know how to read a ruler. They could actually build homes perfectly. So we are the same folks that built the pyramids. Of course we could build homes. Of course we could play instruments by knowing how to read music. But reading does help to access things that might be limited if you didn't know how to read. So with the boys, the Talented Tenth, because really it's always a small group of people that do the work for the rest of the people. Most people are sheeple. Most people do not know what they want out of life. But then a person come along with a vision and a direction and a purpose and a plan of action. People criticize those type of people. You start calling those people dictators because they know what they want out of life, and by any means necessary, they will utilize to get what they want out of life. And some of the things that will benefit you, you don't want. The things you need, you don't want a lot of times. The things you want, you don't need. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism thrives off of giving us things we don't need, but we want. They program us to want things we don't need. But I would say give Du Bois another look. Read some of his works. Read The Philadelphia Negro. Read The Souls of Black Folks. Read some of his later stuff. He talks about really a economic alternative to capitalism. Because the majority of the world is suffering from capitalism. It's not benefiting the majority of the world. If you only got 100 families running everything, they control all the resources. They control more resources in the bottom half of humanity. Something's wrong. And we think it's okay. This will happen. We keep on selling for the so-called lesser evils. Them lesser evils add up like pennies and become the greatest evil you ever known. We are our own worst enemies. So, let me come back But look up Du Bois. Do some research. Don't let people tell you who Du Bois or Dubois was, or Debo to some of y'all. Some of y'all, he Du Bois. Some of y'all, he Dubois. Some of y'all, he Debo. Terry Crews gets statute of limitations a little after a year, but Bill Cosby accusers can bring up stuff pre-summer. So let me finish what the sister said. She said all this stuff, and I said this is kind of crazy because why am I defending Bill Cosby in this, and how am I defaming Terry Crews? Where did I compare the two? It don't make any sense. So I'm going to read what she said again. 60%. Now she's not offering any data. She's not providing links to information from respected sources or trusted sources. She's just going and trying to, because she put up numbers, trying to sound more sophisticated than what it really is. She's just stating basically her point of view, her opinion. 60% of black girls are sexually assaulted before the age of 18, but you are spreading lies. So I'm going to emphasize lies because she capitalized it about Bill Cosby's ass. Terry Crews is an innocent man that was sexually assaulted, and you have done him a disservice to compare him to an admitted, and she got that kind, an admitted, I'm about to do CD.8, admitted rapist. Black men don't progress because you have no concern for the consequences of your words and your lies that capitalize, you tell. How powerful would it be if you would have actually advocated for Terry Crews, a victim here? See, every time I elevate my voice, I'm showing how she capped, all caps. If you want to relate this to history and how black men are victimized sexually, you could have spoken about how many black men are sexually assaulted but don't speak out. You could have discussed the history of white folks assaulting black men, but you can't go too deeply in discussing that because you wouldn't want to make the foolish black man that worship their asses actually look like fools. You are doing Terry Crews a disservice, and he would not be happy with this. There are so many valid points you could have made in advocacy for black male sexual assault victims, but you chose to lie. So you can place Terry Crews next to a perpetrator. Shake my head. I didn't lie. What did I lie about? Wow, man. I don't know. It's interesting. This is my response. Like I said, I don't really delve into it's just too much. It's toxicity. Like Neely Fuller said, it's not good to hang around a bunch of black folks without a plan or plan of action. That's why I read Paola Patrice and Brother John Shaw. This is what I'm saying, y'all. It is quite evident what I said went over y'all's heads. I don't do Facebook debates. That's so 2010. I won't resort to name calling filled with venom, bitterness, and hate, posing as facts and common sense either. I am a thought provocateur. I am just here to make you think. Got too much real world work to do. I ain't mad at ya. Have a good day. LOL. I did that in the caps though. And then she did her cap. LOL. Black men quickly resort to white supremacist quips against black women when they are being called out for lies and untruths while simultaneously trying to cry about white supremacy. Reason no one takes y'all seriously. What? How did I tell black women? What did I say about her? Did I say anything? Let me read what I said again. It is quite evident what I said went over y'all's heads. I don't do Facebook debates. That's so 2010. I won't resort to name calling filled with venom, bitterness, and hate, posing as facts and common sense either. I am a thought provocateur. I am just here to make you think. Got too much real world work to do. I ain't mad at you. Have a good day. LOL. Okay, I didn't. She calling me all types of names like fake woke black folks. She called me all types of names, and just being disrespectful to black men. But like I said, I don't know her backstory. I talked to her before. We was on the phone for 2+ hours. I called, talked to her, and she told me some things, and that's not important. But what's important is how is she able to pull this out her ass? What I'm saying, like, this is why these the wind talkers. I'm gonna call these people. I got a new name for the people that pull stuff out their ass, talking about stuff that don't make sense. Wind talkers. They're the wind talkers. I know people, well, that's disrespectful to Native Americans. I ain't talking about the Native Americans. I think the Redskins, Washington Redskins, are more disrespectful than Native Americans. I'm talking these folks is talking, they clapping their ass, and there's shit coming out of it, and wind. Then some dude, I don't know. Maybe he saw a Facebook profile, he got horny, I don't know. He said, Paulo Patrice is 1,000% correct. She's 1,000% correct about being wrong. She's 1,000% about, I don't see how that, you know. And my mom, a black woman that I love for common sense, mama, come through. This is what my mom said. She read all this shit. What the statement is saying, why does one person get up to 30 years for a criminal act and another person told his limitation is 1 year? Shouldn't Terry be afforded the same limitation and due process under the law and court system? The statement is not the author's opinion, but rather to start an open discussion. Because I am the thought provocateur. That's all I want. I ain't just, but people call you names, and white folks want to play their white Jesus, white father role. They take it very seriously. But it is what it is. You know, that's the things that, you know, the other day in the life of the artist. You know, that's how we do it. It's another day in the life. So what everybody's saying. So one day, I think people will start looking at my live streams and taking me serious about what I do. But yeah, that was fascinating. That was fascinating. So we still got some time. You know, we're doing good on time. So that's the Terry Crews stuff. Now, let's talk about censorship and Bobby Dick Gregory. See what people are saying or have said. Yeah, I read most of y'all stuff. If y'all like what I'm saying or y'all like the chat, you know, super chat, tell people about what we're doing. Or what I'm doing, rather. You know, this is late night chats. Hopefully I can do more of these in the future. You know, as long as YouTube don't try to limit my live stream all the time. Because normally I'll be doing this on We All Be TV 1. But because I've been a bad boy, not really bad, I just think it's weird with all this censorship going on. And I want to talk about that as it concerns Dick Gregory. I want to bring that up. But y'all should check out We All Be TV 1, We All Be TV. YouTube.com/We All Be TV. If you haven't subscribed to that channel, you should subscribe to that channel. That's my main channel, but you're going to catch me now doing live streams for as long as I can do them on this channel. And so I want to talk about what happened last week, or rather last month, with Dick Gregory. And, you know, a lot of people know me from my interviews with Dick Gregory, Bobby Dick Gregory. Actually, We All Be TV was one of the first to really interview him prolifically. We actually started the trend. I know people say, well, Tariq Nasheed, I don't think Dick would have been on Hidden Colors without people taking an interest to him in the internet. And what happened is the Django review he did with We All Be, that went viral. And, you know, Dick called me the next day. He said Quentin Tarantino, some of the producers and actors associated with Django, called him to thank him for giving such a great review of the movie. And that really started the last act for Baba. You know, people take for granted Dick Gregory was not being checked like that. Dick Gregory was great. He's a great human being. Brilliant, gifted, talented, beautiful cat. But I'm saying this was marking the last act. This Dick Gregory Renaissance. And it started on We All Be. You know, I be looking at people in the comment section, and I don't care what a lot of people say in the comment section. I stop reading them after a certain period of time because I'm doing the work, and the work speaks for itself, and it feels good that people have benefited from it, and I help people by doing the work. I'm actually doing my God work, and I know it to be true because Dick told me. He said, look, man, shows like yours and this internet has amplified, make it easy for my message to get out. You know, Dick spoke highly of what we were doing, but We All Be TV was the first. It's like with Judge Joe Brown. Y'all take for granted, y'all talking about some other people doing Judge Joe Brown. We got the most Judge Joe Brown interviews. We All Be. We started that. We looked up to the elder, because people tell me all the time. I just had a brother last night at the grocery store saying, thank you for what you're doing with the Judge Joe Brown interviews. But a lot of folks, see, a lot of people sheeple. And I'm thankful for the folks who actually benefit from the information. They utilize it, they amplify it, they take their own journey to the next level. What I'm saying, I'm a very giving person. So, you know, people take pot shots and all this stuff. I don't really care because I'm doing the work. And like I said, I'm out here with no protection, you know, out here. A lot of folks that take shots, they got fake accounts and avatars, and they're not really helping people. They're just being toxic. But you know what? Your haters are your fans too. Haters are fans too. They don't know it. They help spread your message. So with that said, and I know I'm relevant because people attacking, people that attacks have been elevated. But let me find the GREgory thing. And thank y'all for those who are catching this live. Thank y'all for staying up all night. But I'm gonna make sure I get through all the stuff I said I was gonna do. Yeah, Black Panther made over $1 billion. I already knew that was gonna happen. That's a no-brainer. You know, Black Panther is great because it's a great work of art because of the conversations that have came out of the Black Panther movie. People tell me, well, it could have been this and that. Yeah, that's any movie. But I'm saying Black Panther was a great movie because, like, this the dialogue it sparked, not just among black people, but among humanity as a whole. The conversations that were sparked by these people seeing and being motivated, or people, you know, a lot of us, we got a short memory. We don't remember a lot. We take history for granted. And when you do that, you allow other people to come in to tell you about who you're supposed to be. And you think that's true. You get people like old white father. End of story. I haven't seen it. This is what I know. And I know it's law. End of story. You get that type of stuff. But anyway, I want to tell you about the importance of your own media. It's not, you know, just because a white man put out something don't mean it's true. Let me talk about what YouTube did to me recently while I'm streaming from We.i.g TV 2. YouTube censors We.i.g TV and removes GREgory video about Sandy Hook. Should we worry? This is the title of my social media post. Should we worry? Should we worry? Let me see. I'm going to read my post because I'm news. This is news, and We.i.g TV is very much relevant. Read the whole thing because it's my show, and We.i.g is very relevant, and I'm Brother Ron. Somebody you can trust. Show you the disrespect too from so-called white media, how they don't care about black people. They laugh at us. See, what's hate speech for other people, when it comes to how they treat black folks in terms of how they speak about us, it becomes comedy and entertainment for them. My pain, my misery is your entertainment and profit. That's how the white inferiority system works. They laugh at our pain. White inferiority people laugh at black people's pain, and they make money off of it. And they repackage it to us, and we buy into it. Biggest consumers and the biggest fools. We got to stop. It's time to wake up. Here's my post about what YouTube did to We.i.g. YouTube censors We.i.g TV and removes GREgory video about Sandy Hook. Should we worry? The artivist responds. This is March 5th, 2017. This is when I wrote the post. YouTube and other social media outlets are rewriting history, and not in a good way. We.i.g TV was recently censored and penalized by YouTube. And because of this censorship, I have not been able to live or live stream on my channel. YouTube has basically excommunicated me for 90 days from live streaming. What is truly disturbing is that my channel is being penalized over an interview I did with the late great GREgory concerning the Sandy Hook incident. This video was publicly up for 5 years and had garnered over several 100,000 views on their respective platform without a problem, and yet I was notified by YouTube early Wednesday morning of last week, February 28, 2018, of them not only removing the video, but also giving my channel a community guideline strike which led them to disabling my live stream capabilities until May 28, 2018. YouTube stated that the video in question is in violation of YouTube's policy on harassment and bullying. Here's a link to what YouTube defines as harassment and cyberbullying. I'm going to read. I have a link, but I'm going to read it after I read my statement. When I immediately went to appeal the decision, the original decision was upheld. However, the space that YouTube provided to give a response was very limited, if not inadequate, and would not allow me to post the following in its entirety, which was my original and intended response. This is my response I wanted to send to YouTube, but because of their space limitations, I couldn't send that response. So this is a response I wanted to give to YouTube. I know that the decision to pull or remove this particular video was made in error. This video is not inciting violence or endorses bullying, because that's what they claim, that GREgory's point of view was inciting violence and endorses bullying. Interesting. This video is not inciting violence or endorses bullying, but it is indeed, however, promoting critical thinking. The commentary provided in the video in question is by a person, the late GREgory, who is an iconic figure in the worlds of comedy and social justice. He was a venerable humanitarian and freedom of expression advocate. Freedom of speech and expression, even when unpopular and taboo, should be respected and protected. I find it troubling that a video that is providing a counter narrative to the official narrative is deemed inappropriate and is censored just because it is offering a different point of view. I have faith in the human race to be civil and involved enough to agree to disagree without being disagreeable and disrespectful. Thanks in advance, Brother Ron, founder, We.All.B News and TV. And my summary of, I'm summing up my statement in its entirety. I am not interested in anyone boycotting YouTube. However, I do want to make everyone who is concerned more aware and knowing the importance of creating, promoting, and supporting alternative news voices and platforms. It is troubling, though, and quite possibly real, that the powers that be could have the power and resolve to censor and remove all videos and other content pertaining to the thoughts and musings of our late Baba GREgory from the internet altogether. The games. But where does this censorship, erasure, and reinvention of history stop? Baba Dick prophetically compared these times to the days of Nazi Germany, where book burning was considered the national pastime. Baba Dick was no bully, but he was an agitator, a H-U-E humanitarian, and thought provocateur. Baba GREgory understood the importance of the internet in amplifying his message to the masses. He told me himself that he was more famous now than he was in his prime because the internet gave him more access to the people. In his prime, he was limited in his platform because there was only 3 TV networks that were heavy into censorship, and the folks that he wanted to reach could not afford to see him perform in the expensive white-owned nightclubs downtown. In terms of info dissemination, the internet has leveled the playing field. To quote the following words of 2 beloved but hell-raising ancestor immortals: the people must know before they can act. There is no greater educator to compare with the press. Ida B. Wells Barnett. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. And that's power because they control the minds of the masses. Malcolm X. I will post the video online again, but it will only be available to the true supporters of the We All Be movement. Somewhere. This God work could not be done without the love and support of the village and my tribes. I want to give a sincere thanks to all of those who have supported and who continue to support this endeavor on a consistent basis. As it relates to the censor-free news that you can use, I am in the process of creating a working alternative that will, in my humble hopes, last for posterity. I will be sending out the call, and those who choose to answer and follow through shall be considered the chosen. But in the meantime, those with the mind to think, the ears to hear, and the heart to feel, please keep on receiving the message and continue to help us to achieve a winning objective for future generations to be proud of and build upon. We all be in it to win it. The movement is bigger than one platform and one person, and so it can't be stopped. To paraphrase MLK, truth crushed to earth shall rise again. Knowledge is the currency of the universe. Know thyself, be thyself, free thyself. See how it works? Somewhere your comrade in a beautiful, righteous, and prosperous struggle, Brother Ron. So that was my initial message, and I tagged local and national media, both black media and also white mainstream media, local and national levels, about what happened with the YouTube censorship, because it's disturbing. Because how can this video be a form of cyberbullying and harassing when GREgory was not belittling people? I'm gonna talk about that, but so I tagged like a lot of media outlets and stuff. So got about 67 likes on Facebook, including members of Dick's family, his immediate family. And so the Memphis Flyer, a social media guy, reached out to me. I want to make sure I get the stuff he said, which is interesting. I'm going to show you how this stuff played and why it's important to support alternative media platforms like what I'm doing. And also it's also important that other people out there who are inspired by the God work I'm doing start their own media platforms and ways to connect with the community, study groups and whatnot. Let me see. This Memphis Flyer, this is interesting. This is a social media person for the Memphis Flyer. And he reached out to me. He said, what was the gist of your Sandy Hook video? Like a sentence or two, please. I'm not reading a novel. See that? Excuse me, sir? Right? Like, he set that tone. I mean, you can't read people's tone. It's hard to read tone through social media exchanges, but let me read what the Memphis Flyer. Memphis Flyer is a weekly newspaper. It has a following. It's a weekly newspaper. It's a weekly newspaper that comes out in Memphis. And so this is a social media director for their Facebook page. And he reached out to me. He said, what was the gist of your Sandy Hook video? Like a sentence or two, please. I'm not reading a novel. Well, this is what my response was. The Memphis Flyer. The video was 12 minutes. Surely you could have read this post once in under 12 minutes, 16 minutes, and yet you want us to read your paper, which is way longer than this post. The games. I said that. The Memphis Flyer said, please answer the question. I read your post. What was the gist of your Sandy Hook video? And then, okay, I said, let me just tell them. The Memphis Flyer, since you said please, basically it was about how the official story can sometimes really be the official lie agreed upon and put forth by the people in authoritative positions. people we are programmed to trust and not to question. He made mention of the Dark Knight movie, which came out months before the tragedy and referenced Sandy Hook on a map in a key scene. He talked about the Florida professor who thought Sandy Hook was a hoax and why it got so much mainstream attention. He compared Sandy Hook to Jonestown and pondered about the lack of open caskets and little reporting of the wounded. He talked about the use of government hired and trained crisis actors in drills right before a big event. He broke down what to look for when an event is actually a stage, false flag, or inside job. So I took the time to answer him. And this is what the Memphis Flyer. I'm going to have to use the Memphis Flyer because I have yet to hear any type of apology from the Memphis Flyer. So basically what this guy, this white individual with privilege at this institution said they stand by. So he's to stand in for the Memphis Flyer. So he's using their account to answer me. So he said, number one, randomly capitalizing letters is unnecessary, disorienting. And number two, don't tag me in any more of your trash posts ever again. First of all, yeah, I got a style, social media style, but he used emojis. Everybody using emojis. People don't know how to spell no more because they do everything in shorthand. So this person who represents a prominent and respected newspaper organization in Memphis, on their behalf, okay, he's using their Facebook account. So I'm saying the Memphis Flyer told me that randomly capitalizing letters is unnecessarily disorienting. Don't tag me in any more of your trash posts ever again. See, the thing, it's funny. See, this is white privilege. This is white privilege with protection of institution at play. Yeah, this dude is post Matthew Preston. That's his name. Okay, I don't think black folks know how to read and write and do research. So I found out this guy was named Matthew Preston, and he's in his 20s, white boy in his 20s, and a young gun. Very disrespectful. But what he's saying is that it's okay for people like James Joyce and Hemingway and E.E. Cummings, who, you know, everything lowercase, and he messed around with punctuation. When white folks do it, it's genius. But when people like me or Zora Neale Hurston or Paul Laurence Dunbar play around with the English language, even though we're educated, something's wrong with us and we're trash. He called them trash posts, but really he's also disrespecting the legacy of GREgory, because this is about why they censoring the work of this brilliant man, of this giving man. Like, if you listen to the video, which is 12 minutes, it's not a name calling, it's not bullying people, but you got these social media people, like these social media giants like Facebook and YouTube. They want to censor people. They want to get rid of, eliminate free speech. They want to control what you say, but at the same time, they're making a fortune off our intellectual property that we share freely on their platforms, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat. Our intellectual property is making them money. A lot of us can't even afford to pay our rent. We live on EBT cards and whatnot, but yet somebody's using your thoughts. The thought police are policing you and censoring certain people and trying to rewrite history, while at the same time they're making profits off our intellectual property, but their profit making is not producing jobs. Facebook is not employing Americans who are out of work. Facebook is making billions of dollars off of Americans that they cannot employ. These folks are funny like that. So anytime you got some person like GREgory who said his job is to be an agitator, because like you said, the only way to clean clothes in the wash is to be an agitator. If you don't agitate, the clothes won't get clean. You know, you gotta, you know, Frederick Douglass was told a young activist when they asked for words of wisdom, he said, towards the end of his life, he said, agitate, agitate, agitate. The power concedes nothing without a demand. See, people want the fruits of the labor, but they don't want to do the work. And that's what We All Be is doing. We are a living legacy. I consider myself a living legacy of GREgory. I'm not his biological kin or blood, but we are related in the struggle. We are related in our God work. And so I'm thankful that I got the chance to know this brilliant man, to be a person who helps promotes his legacy, and also to be an advocate for the right for his legacy to be accessible to the people. This is why it's very important to support the We All Be movement, because there's no guarantee that this channel will be up on YouTube or anything else. But at the same time, I understand the power of this intellectual property I got. I do have backers upon backups, but also I need backers in this info war. We need folks that are really serious about not only just enjoying this information for themselves, but also serious about helping me continue to disseminate this information, to make sure that freedom of speech and freedom of expression is still free and still accessible. So when you support the We All Be movement, you supporting this God work that's going to benefit all of humanity. So that's what the guy said. And the sister responded back. She came to my defense. See, I mean, yeah, it was a black woman that attacked me, and another sister that came to my defense. And she's an interesting, brilliant-minded sister. Tanya Princess Jones. She said, the Memphis Flyer. Did you really just get petty and personal regarding random capitalization instead of addressing or critiquing the point's issues? I have a very few intelligent and wise friends that have dyslexia. One of my friends didn't share so many of her thoughtful posts because of random characters and capitalization. I am so pleased she doesn't allow it to hinder her from caring and sharing and reaching and teaching now. You know, it's true. People don't understand that we all got handicaps and disabilities, but really what society says your handicap or disability is really a leverage you don't understand how to use. That's why it's so important to have a healthy and a beautiful and a loving relationship with yourself. Before you can do that for anybody, give yourself the gift of honoring you, of loving you, all your flaws and shortcomings, and embrace that and make you a whole human being. Love yourself in a loving way. Because I'm telling you something, this work I'm doing, I'm up at night, you know, it's 2 o'clock right now where I'm at. And, you know, really, I'm by myself most of the time doing this work. My mom support me. My mom doing brilliant work under the We All Be. We want more people to help us with this God work. But what I'm saying is, people don't see everything that I got to go through. It's not about that. You know, like what Dick would say, you know, if people don't understand, you drive across the country to meet me at places, you get this information out here. And a lot of folks are receiving this information in the comfort of their homes, whatever. I know people, I hear truck drivers that tell me they drive, or taxi cab drivers recently told me they drive around, listen to my stuff in their cars while they're doing their work. So this is my work. And it's not a 9 to 5, it's 24/7, which means that I do this work all around. Even when I'm not broadcasting or live streaming or creating content, I'm thinking about what can I do to serve the people. And sometimes it's very much like a thankless job. And when you are out there doing sincere things, and I'm not trying to hide behind an institution, I'm not trying to hide behind some fake avatar and a fake profile. What you see is what you get. What you hear is what you get. But there's so much more than meets the eye. But I'm a real person. I'm authentic. I'm a human being just like everybody else. But, you know, people attack the work. And it's funny how these same folks, they call themselves intellectuals and high IQ people, they always want to make it personal with me. And they don't even know me like that. I never met this guy. He don't know nothing about me, but he's assuming. That's why you can't never go out from first impressions. A lot of times I've had people told me, on your first impression, you didn't, you know, I wasn't impressed. Then when I start to know you, and you're impressive, because you can't go out on first impressions, because everybody's entitled to having a bad day. You might be having a bad week or a bad year. Just because you might respond in a way in that moment does not make, it's not a statement, it's not a defining statement on your whole life trajectory. You know, people assume a lot of stuff. You know they say about assuming. Make an ass of everyone. You don't assume, try to know. Do the research. So my mom, she got my back. She also responded. So, I mean, black women, it's a balance, man. Ain't all about bashing the whole group of people. You know, I love black women. I love people. But I'm saying, like, some people get, like, all women like this. And, like, you know, like the sister was saying, all black men. She's black man this, black man that. This, I mean, I don't know a person's story. So, give a benefit of doubt. But, you know, people unfriend me. I don't unfriend people. I don't believe in censorship. I believe in freedom of expression, no matter how silly or retarded it may sound to me. I believe in it. So, because the laws should be made not to only protect the innocent, but also protect the guilty. The laws should protect the criminal as well as the victim. It should be some type of, humanity. So this is what my mom said. So this is how your paper respects icons such as GREgory and others who have a say or different opinion from yours or the Memphis Flyer. Are you speaking for the Memphis Flyer, and that is how the Memphis Flyer called news different from no? What about the integrity of your news organization when you trash others? It makes a difference. Does it take being petty? Do you have any decency at long last, sir? Do you have any decency? He said, GREgory lives and his words will be appreciated. He fought so that we could be free to express ourselves and be ourselves. Everyone has a right to his or her point of view. You don't have to agree with it, and you have the right to disagree. Freedom of expression is what this country is based on. Has it changed? If so, provide me the memo. And if you don't know, now you know. So, yeah, this is what I deal with. So people, so y'all can have the chance to talk about me or to love or hate me in the comment section. This is what I go through. But it's part of the job, man. I'm a soldier. So let's see what else. Read my response I wrote to the paper. This is why I said I emailed the publishers and the editors of the Memphis Flyer, and also the guy named Matthew Preston, the guy named, he had him behind Memphis Flyer, but at the same time, the Memphis Flyer, to me, they co-signed it because they haven't said anything, officially, but they are saying things officially with their silence and allowing this dude to say the stuff he's saying. So, to me, it is what it is, but that's why it's so important. God bless a child who got his own. That's why I do the work I do, man. I did not expect to be doing what I'm doing now. If I had a crystal ball and I was able to see the future, I would probably never went down this route. But at the same time, it is what it is. And I can't stop now. And I won't be stopped. So I'm glad I was able to contribute to the legacy of somebody like GREgory. I'm glad that GREgory trusted me enough to get this information out there to the people. And it's because of the training I received, all those verbal actions and stuff. Yeah, people laugh at me, but I made history and I made a difference. So, and a lot of y'all benefit from it. So, let me see. What was my response? I think I covered all the people except Minister Farrakhan. I'll do a quick thing on that, but I just want to get through this. I probably gotta do another show on Farrakhan. This is what I wrote after he said all that crap he said about me. They don't even know me. Man, I mean, these people don't even know me that well, but they telling me I'm a fake woke black folk and all this stuff. It's funny, but they don't know me, man. Dear Memphis Flyer, I wrote this on March the 6th, around 10 o'clock a.m., 10 a.m. Central. Dear the Memphis Flyer, does Mr. Matthew Preston speak for your organization or himself when he disrespects the readers of your paper by calling their thoughts on important issues such as freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and censorship in the internet age trash? Because he either differs in opinion or is too intellectually lazy or lack the mental fortitude or clarity to do the work of a real thinker and journalist. I am including a snapshot of some exchanges I had with your social media manager last night concerning my recent post. I was respectful and cordial in terms of engagement, and then when I read his last response, I was like, WTF, what the fuck, and really. I want to know, is he speaking for himself or for the Memphis Flyer? If it is the latter or both, then I am going to have to part ways with reading and supporting the Memphis Flyer in the future. There is nothing random about me capitalizing my letters. Like racism, there's a method to the madness, and it is systemic, not chaotic in nature. You know what they say, when people assume, at least I assume you do, somewhere. I truly appreciate the groundbreaking journalism you all have done and endorsed over the years, as well as the recent coverage you have done on two of my events involving the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Festival. But I refuse to accept the disrespect just because you are a hometown favorite. I have several things I would do with the Memphis Flyer newspapers in the future, but reading them isn't one of them. No worries, and still on the rise I am, Brother Ron Hurt II, founder of We All Be News. So, yeah. That's my response. This is what this fool said. I even tagged one of his people that I respect who covered Jimmy Lunsford. So this fool, I believe it's Matthew Preston, but he's the Memphis Flyer. So Matthew Preston is AKA the Memphis Flyer. Dang, it's hard to read the caps, no cap style. I have a look when I have my reading glasses nearby though. Just disrespectful. And this supposed to be a professional paper. Man, my paper more professional than these cats, man. You say you got all these so-called papers and stuff. We reach a lot of people. We all be. My little small platform has reached a lot of people. Because it's still amazing. I go different places in the country. And people recognize my voice and my face and all that. And they tell me exact videos. Not just this Dick Gregory Judge Joe Brown videos. But even videos like what I'm doing now. They talk about the impact it has had on their lives. The books I recommend, movies and whatnot. That's my point of view. So I'm very respectful of this responsibility that I have to the people. And hello, K. Duckworth. Yeah, they didn't know how to respond, man. But it's sad though. But these people, I mean, you know, like I said, you can't take this stuff personal, man. Because if I took it personal every time somebody had a difference of opinion, even if they went and took it very personal, like people talk about with how I look or how I sound, I won't be able to do the work I'm doing because it's not about them. 'Cause a lot of times, the folks that's doing stuff are really the winners at the end of the day. Whether you win, lose, or draw, as long as you are the man in the arena and you actually doing stuff, you actually trying to get something done, that's a beautiful life to live. It's beautiful to struggle for the right reasons. You know, people got this thing to get struggle. There's nothing wrong with struggle if you're struggling to win. If you're struggling to improve yourself. If you just out there not trying to get nothing done for yourself, then that's a problem. Because you're wasting the gift, which is your life. Do something with your present. That's why I call the present. It's a gift. Do something with that. You know, you put yourself in situations where you got to really start believing in yourself and developing trust with yourself. Because you look at some of the most successful people in history, they were put in uncomfortable situations, or they had to do extreme stuff. Like today is March 12th. It marks the anniversary of the death of one of the greatest music geniuses this world has ever known, Charlie Yardbird Parker. You know, he was humiliated at that open mic session in Kansas City where Joe Jones, the famous drummer from Count Basie band, threw his cymbal at Charlie Parker's head or feet and told him to get his black ass off the stage because he couldn't play at that time. But what Charlie Parker did, like he said in one of his last interviews on the radio with Paul Desmond, he said that he took 4 years of his life to practice 11 to 15 hours a day on his saxophone. Charlie Parker practiced 11 to 15 hours a day on his saxophone. And that's why he became the guy we know as Bird. He was able to fly by believing in himself and practicing, you know, more extreme than anybody else. Like KoBE Bryant or LeBron James. Them type of cats be in the gym. You wasn't in the oh, I'm trying to think about that Rick Ross. I'm trying to paraphrase that Rick Ross line. You was in the gym shooting with KoBE, okay? KoBE, LeBron, Steph Curry, them guys shoot 1,000 jumpers in one session. That's why they the best of the best. Because you gotta go beyond what is expected to be a real champion. And Yardbird, like I said, Charlie Parker practiced 4 hours, not 4 hours, but he practiced 11 to 15 hours a day for 4 years, perfecting his craft. Netflix could not afford a Charlie Parker. Okay, he put so much into his craft. He had to sacrifice. He had to have a vision. So this is where we at right now. You know, you want to achieve some things, you gotta find a way to believe in yourself. You gotta find a way to develop a vision. And you gotta find a way to develop some discipline. So it is what it is, you know. But we keep on pushing, keep on moving, don't stop. No. Keep on moving. Keep on pushing, don't stop. No. But tell your friends, we all be TV2 for, I guess, till May something. We'll be doing live streaming from this. Just build up the audience for this channel. And we'll still be uploading stuff to We All Be TV1. I'm working on editing some videos right now. Because I actually went to the spot where they shot B.I.G. this past summer. So I'm going to upload that video with actual live footage and commentary from the spot. Yeah, I'm feeling this 214 right now. And apologies for starting late. A lot of time I will start booking it at 10 minutes after the hour instead of right on the hour when I do these shows. But I thoroughly enjoy these shows. I really get fed from the people's commentary, from the people tuning in. It's not just about money, because hell, I ain't making enough money to really be making money, you know. But I think that will change because to me, when you are passionate about stuff, the universe finds a way to provide for you. It's funny when you're doing your real work, when you work with purpose, things have a way of working out. You know, just like with women. You know, I talk about these black women. Like I said, I gave examples how some black women, you know, they go in on brothers. Then I gave examples in this show how some black women, they support brothers. They stand in solidarity with the brothers. And what I'm saying is, you know, I'll be 40 in 2 years. Y'all say what y'all want to say. I'll be 40 in 2 years. And, you know, black folk, we like to have our kids early and stuff. I know there's a trend also of a lot of black people having kids late or not having kids at all. I got friends who are highly educated, very responsible professionals. They got careers, but they don't want to be parents. Because in the reality is, like, it's very expensive right now to even be alive, especially if you're poor or you're working poor. They make it very expensive for people to even live or have children or the thought of having children. That's why I tell people that don't compare what's going on right now with the 60s. It's not like the 60s. Because in the 1960s, you could drop out of high school and go work at the factory for 30 or 40 years, support a family of 4, retire with a good-ass pension, have enough money to send all your kids to college. No problem. Those days are gone. This ain't the 1960s, because if it was the 1960s, you would be able to go to UCLA or any top college in the country just about for free, debt-free. That's why you was able to do that social justice work, because the irony is you had a booming economy, you had something to really fight for, to be a part of. You had labor unions, all this stuff, factory job. And also you had an education system that did not make it a burden to learn, to better yourself through the education. You know, because you had people come out of school. I remember talking to Fred Hampton's friend, who's also a lawyer, who represented his family in his civil trial, which lasted for 12 years. They found the government guilty of killing Fred Hampton and Mark Clark and awarded their families almost $2 million, maybe like $1.85 million back in 1982. He wrote a book about Fred Hampton and his work in Chicago at the People's Law Office. His name was Jeffrey Haas. He said, Ron, the reason why we was able to do the work we did, all that activism work, as being lawyers, because we didn't have no debt coming out of law school. We was basically debt-free coming out of law school. So think about all this money people owe, 6 figures, student loan debt that a lot of us would never pay off. And, people working these jobs that, they don't pay enough. You still got garbage workers. Like, it's a sanitation worker from 68. He was part of the sanitation worker strike of 1968 in Memphis, which lasted for 65 days. His brother name is Nickelberry. I might interview him one day. He's still working as a sanitation worker 50 years later after the death of Dr. King. And he's still arguing about the fact that they're not getting paid what they're supposed to be getting paid. He said they should be getting paid $25 an hour. I think right now they're getting paid $17 an hour. But hell, you probably getting paid $30 an hour when you make a minimum wage. If you adjust it for the cost of inflation, they got y'all fighting for 15 when they owe y'all $15 more. See, it's a game, man. They show you how we are so dumbed down as a people that there's really no public education. And that's why it's important that people start doing homeschools, because you're not going to learn about yourself from school. You learn about who you are at home. So if you're not teaching that at home, if you're not teaching your kids about their ancestors and about who they are and where they come from, you're doing your kids a disservice. They are twice defeated in life if you not know who you are and you not have confidence in yourself. You are twice defeated. You can't even win if you don't have a foundation of knowledge of self and having confidence and a healthy self-esteem of self. You know, you do for self and you do it together. See, people always talk about, people want to make fun of Hotep and do for self. It's not about that, man. It's about believing in self and doing with your people. Breaking bread with your people, but making bread to break with your people. That's what it should be about. So I'm doing all this stuff. I'm talking to the universe. I'm manifesting things. So your words create worlds. Like I told you about Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. First album, Ready to Die. Second album, Life After Death. Came out, his greatest success happened after he died. So he wasn't even around to enjoy that, but he manifested that reality. Same thing with Tupac. We can't play act like white people. Black folks got special spiritual connections. We not play actors. We can't even be like De Niro and Pacino and play like that. Cause we be manifesting stuff. Cause we don't understand who our people is, what tribes we come from. Our connection to the universe been lost. Stuff at play here. But everything you need is inside of you. Just ask for it, manifest that motherfucker. Believe in yourself. Everything. The super chat thing is a donation. You can make a donation. You see that money icon next to the smiley face? You could tap that and make a donation while it's live streaming. So, you make a donation. Also, they get like, I guess, 30% of that. So, whatever helps, man. You know what I'm saying? By any means necessary. But we got to understand who we are, man. Because Charlie Parker was special, man. Charlie Parker was a victim of this system. Like I said, today marks the, what is this? 55. It'll be the 59th anniversary. Let me see. I'm sorry. I have brain for 50. Yeah, it'll be the 59th anniversary of Charlie. No, the 58th. It's the 58th anniversary. No, it's not. He died at 55, y'all. Charlie Parker died at 55. So, let me do the math here. What is that? The anniversary of March 12th, 2018 will be the what anniversary? Because it's almost 3 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I mean, I'll get more of the money, the other link, like you go through the PayPal link, the PayPal me. Let me type that in there. Let me type that. I'll get it right away. And so, Charlie Parker died at 55. 50. What is it now? It's the 63rd anniversary. It's the 63rd anniversary. Okay, today's the 63rd anniversary of Charlie Parker passed away, but he died at the tender age of 34. Charlie Parker died at 34 years old. When he was brought to the coroners, they thought he was like 65 years old. He basically worn out his body, but people don't understand. What happened to Charlie Parker is this. Because the Clint Eastwood movie ain't going to tell you the truth. I used to love that movie Bird. Then when I started learning about who Charlie Parker really was in college and started listening to his music, that movie Bird was bullshit that Clint Eastwood did about Charlie Parker, which had Forrest Whitaker play Charlie Parker. Forrest Whitaker did a great job in terms of what he was given to work with. But the truth about Charlie Parker and drugs happened because Charlie Parker was in a real bad car accident when he was 17 years old. It was in the Ozarks. I think he was doing some gigs up in the Ozarks, and I think they was coming back home to Kansas City. Got to a real bad car accident that killed his best friend at 17. He went to the hospital and he was messed up real bad. And so they gave him morphine to deal with the pain. So he started getting addicted to morphine. Then he started getting into other drugs like heroin to kick his morphine habit. Then to get off of heroin, he started drinking fucking wine, a gallon of wine a day. I mean, he was doing crazy shit. You know, they call him Yardbird because I think his love of chicken. The Yardbird, but also it fits him because, you know, just calling him Bird because the way he will just take flight in his music once he came into his musical prime. Charlie Parker was amazing. And I love listening to Charlie Parker not only play but also talk because he was a universal genius. He's like a Leonardo da Vinci or somebody like that. You could ask Charlie Parker about anything. He had he had information, consummate, voracious reader and thinker and scholar. And I don't believe he graduated from high school. But I'm saying he was a fascinating dude, but he was not put on the planet to be father of the year or of the century. Like Dick Gregory said, you know, Hitler had a father. Dick Gregory made no qualms about him not being there for his children in the traditional way. But you got folks who are gold star widows, what do they call people who lose their husbands in wars? You know, they sacrifice their family for the blood sacrifice of war. And people look at them and, oh, that's great. But yeah, you know, Dick Gregory, he was fighting for humanity. He was a soldier for the universal God. The universal God. He was a soldier for that war. And so people got to understand that we all make choices, but everybody ain't meant, you know, you can't say what a person is meant to be in this life. Because a lot of us are not satisfied with our lives. We lead lives of quiet desperation. But a lot of us are not satisfied with the situation that is our lives. So to me, the best thing you can do for yourself is find out what makes you happy, because happiness is a choice. Abraham Lincoln said the best happiness is a choice. You could choose it. Like when I smile, I feel better just by smiling. Try it sometime. Just smile. Just the act of smiling makes you automatically feel better about your situation, about yourself. So, you know, it is what it is. And so we got to think about that. We all got choices to be made, you know. All got choices to be made. See, I got what did I do wrong? I think I typed in the wrong. Get back to. You got to type in the wrong PayPal link some type of way. Okay, that's strange. I got a PayPal link. Somebody asked me about K Duckworth. I wonder why this one didn't show up correctly. Okay, let me type in. I had typed in the wrong PayPal link in the chat. Let me type in again. So if y'all want to give whatever, but I'm gonna keep on doing this God work. I've been traveling around. Last February, I was in D.C. for Dick stuff. Dick Gregory had a week-long celebration. They showed some of his personal items, including awards and artwork and, you know, artifact clothing, you know, Hollywood Walk of Fame stuff. And he said he's a normal Bob. I don't think you have to sign up to send a PayPal thing. I think that's optional. Let me just check. Oh, that's interesting. They want you to sign up. I guess the way they work, I didn't know. Cause I already got that's my PayPal account. But I guess you just sign up. Yeah, I guess you do sign up. Cause I had PayPal for a long time, so I don't know how it works. Yeah. God, I'm looking at. I guess you sign up. This is to be able to send the money. But let me see. Something else. God, that's a new link because they do you customized link. I don't know how. Let me look at another thing. I'm gonna talk about Louis Farrakhan too. Let me close that up with Louis Farrakhan. That's the one I need to talk about. I think it's fascinating what's going on with Farrakhan. I talked about GREgory, and you know we did some shows, and Dick talked about Louis and stuff like that. And it's funny because I go all over the place. Like I said, I go around the country. People recognize, and every time I run into some Fruit of Islam or Nation of Islam people. They know who Brother Ron is. I said, Brother Ron, how you doing, man? I said, yeah, y'all know me, huh? But I've been trying for 3 years to meet with Farrakhan because I had, my organization wanted to give him a Lifetime Achievement Award. And I've been having the hardest time trying to connect with Minister Farrakhan. But these folks who had meetings with Farrakhan's and photo ops like the former president, they're afraid to stand with Farrakhan, to be seen with Farrakhan. What I think is interesting. But Farrakhan, did Baba Dick Gregory's funeral. And Baba Dick go in on everybody. And he had some choice words for Mr. Farrakhan and his approach to boycotting Christmas. And nobody's above critique. Nobody's above a critique. But I know some of the brothers, they took it personally. Well, they said I didn't take it personally, but they know who I am. I went to Dick Gregory's funeral. And I'm outside. And the brothers knew who I was. I got another link. I got another link. This one ain't asking. That's my original link. It don't ask for no. That's PayPal, but that's my original link. It doesn't ask for you to sign up. It just asks for, I guess, a credit or debit card or something like that. And also, I got, you can mail in a money order. That's in the subscription box. I think I'm putting up there. Yeah, that link, that's mine. I'll change. Okay, thank you, Duckworth, K. Duckworth. But I think I'm just going to change it to that link because the other link wants you to sign up for PayPal. And I think I'm going to start changing using the other link, my old link, like I had before. I didn't know they were asking people to sign up. And my old link just allow you just to donate, with your credit card or whatnot. But here's the thing about Minister. I've been trying for 3 years to connect with him. Like when they had the march, I went to the anniversary of the Million Man March, the 20th anniversary of 2015. And he was going on his statewide tour, his national tour to promote the Million Man March, the anniversary. And so he came to Memphis. Farrakhan, he's one of these places that he liked to come to is Memphis. So I had an award done. We all be Lifetime Achievement Award for Minister Farrakhan. And I was trying to go through the brothers. It's funny, I went to a speaking engagement. He had like a town hall for musicians. And, we got a lot of rappers in Memphis. A lot of, well-known local as well as national rappers. So he did a special town hall or discussion with the rappers. This is like right after the movie Straight Outta Compton came out, which was very good. It was like one of the best music biopics I ever seen. It really set the table high for biopics. So he was talking about the Straight Outta Compton movie and about the role that entertainers and musicians play in moving the people forward. So I try to work my way to get the minister. Like some of the brothers from the Fruit of Islam recognize who I was, but I was never able to get access, even though I had connections with some of the brothers at the local mosque. So I even tried at the speaking engagement he did downtown at the Cannon Center, right by the river, with a commercial appeal, like it wasn't a white newspaper. The commercial appeal lied about the number of people that were there. They had like it was just a couple of hundred people there. It was thousands of people. It was so many people there. You had people outside, standing outside when it began. You had the overflow rooms were packed. So you had folks outside the Cannon Center trying to get into the building. So that thing was filled to the rafters. It was literally filled to the rafters. And so he did his speech. I tried to, connect with him before the speech. And the brothers gave me a hard time with that. I had some brothers trying to help me get it. And even some sisters from the Muslim girl training. They call themselves a Muslim. I forgot how they name it. But they'll try to help me get back there. But some of the people closest in his closest circle blocked me. And it was interesting because a lot of people, man, people take for granted what they have sometimes. Because I've seen people on the social media able to meet with Farrakhan. Take this pictures. Just take a picture. And it was able to take the picture, but like I'll try to get back there and give him an award. I said, look, I'm not even trying to interview the minister. I just want to give him an award and thank him for his service, what he attempted to do for our people. Because believe it or not, folks, Farrakhan has done some good for black folks. It's like Jesse Jackson. I know it's hard for people to believe that, but you got to look at the whole. It's like with Du Bois or Du Bois or Debo, however you want to call him. You got to do the research, and then you take what you know. You learn from their mistakes and you amplify their successes. That's what you got to do. So I just want to give them their respect. But they made it hard for a brother to get in touch with them. Folks won't return my calls. And same thing when I was in D.C., I was trying to touch base with minister. Folks said, I help you. And people won't return no calls. But everywhere I go, them brothers recognize who I am. And the Nation of Islam brothers, Fruit of Islam, recognize who I am. Which is funny. But I think eventually I'll get to him. Before he passed, even when GREgory funeral, I could have tried a little bit harder. This is things, but like Minister said something very powerful at GREgory's funeral. He did a great eulogy, one of the best eulogies I ever heard. And that's interesting because consider the things Dick have said in social media. Like I told his son Christian, I'm just really surprised how people embrace him because Dick can be very critical of people in social media, call people all types of punk thugs and all types of other stuff he was known for, but these people go out their way to embrace him. Like his son Christian said at Coretta Scott King's funeral, he was very close to the King family, in particular Coretta Scott King. We had the presidents, the former presidents of the United States, they all were present, as well as the current president at the time, and Bishop Eddie Long's church. You had George W. Bush was the current president, and you had all the former living presidents present, and all of them went out their way to hug Dick GREgory. And Dick GREgory has been very critical of some of those presidents, including especially Bill Clinton. Well, people forget Dick GREgory was given the autopsy photos of Ron Brown, Bill Clinton's former Secretary of Commerce, who was killed allegedly in a plane crash over in Bosnia. But some people say he was assassinated. It was not no plane accident. But they gave him the photographs of the autopsy that showed there was like some type of bullet hole at the top of Ron Brown's head. And, Dick was very critical of the Clinton administration. But yet Bill Clinton, oh, Mr. GREgory, how you doing? Thank you very much. We love you madly. Come here, Mr. They all hugged this man. So even when he went to Oprah for the showing of Selma, when Oprah invited all those civil rights legends to come out to her estate in Santa Barbara, California, to show the movie Selma to them. I mean, his son said, "I go, but I ain't gonna eat shit." He ended up eating because he felt comfortable. But he was very critical of Oprah. He didn't make no qualms about it. He was very critical of a lot of people, but that these folks will embrace him. I mean, that's just the genius of Dick GREgory. He says all about being lovable. And in spite of his how he was towards the end, he can go off you in a minute. Very lovable dude. One of the most generous people I've met. But the fact that Minister Farrakhan had no problem doing his eulogy speaks a lot about who Dick GREgory was. Because he was critical of the minister, especially on the platform. Thank you. Okay, brother. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you so much, K. Duckworth. That $50 come in handy. I love you. We love you, man. Sister Duckworth, I think, because I see your email. Sister K. Duckworth, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Very timely. And you said, please have a hot cup of lemon ginger tea. My favorite. Thank you for all of your work and knowledge. Peace. Thank you so much. And tea, and speak about tea. Thank you, Queen Sister Duckworth, for your help in this mission. We love you madly, in the words of the great Duke Ellington. I tell you, that tea come in handy though. I didn't know the power of tea till my mama made me drink some tea. Call that tea, green tea, like the type you get to boil with the water and the honey. I didn't know the power of honey and green tea until I got sick. I had the flu earlier this January, and that thing had me out of commission. But I drank that tea for several days. Man, it was amazing. Don't tell the amount. Oh, yeah, definitely. Your secret's safe with me. gas money to make the trip to do some more interviews. I appreciate it. And cinnamon, yes, cinnamon is good. I didn't know the power. I didn't try the cinnamon, but like the fact that that honey and that tea worked was amazing. But yeah, I heard cinnamon too, definitely. So people gotta know it's better than getting on vaccinations, man. Cause you already know what they're doing to our people. It's funny because I haven't talked about that missing black doctor from the CDC, but people gotta understand what Atlanta is all about. That is the home of the Centers for Disease Control. And you already go back to the Wayne Williams thing back in the early 80s, I believe, where they had Wayne Williams, Atlanta child murders. Dick Gregory was involved in that, and they still was killing and kidnapping black people after they had Wayne Williams in custody. So we got to never forget, and we got to think about it. Tuskegee, the Tuskegee experiment. Now there's a thing saying that Booker T. Washington was murdered. There's a sister I interviewed on We All Be TV. Look up the video on We All Be TV, what happened to Booker T. Washington or something like that. This former nurse from Mobile, the sister wrote a book about the death conspiracy of Booker T. Washington. She's saying that he was poisoned, that he was murdered. And Booker T. Washington was replaced by a guy named Robert Moulton down in Tuskegee, who was Army intelligence. He was a U.S. spy. The guy who led Tuskegee several years after Booker T. Washington was a U.S. intelligence spy named Robert Moulton, because Booker T. Washington's assistant Emmett Scott was the next in line, but they overlooked Emmett Scott. And you got to look at Booker T. Washington in his inner circle. A lot of people, including his wives, have died. They died young and died under questionable circumstances. So the sister book, I think her name was Paulette Horton Davis, and the book is Death in 60 Days. It's about Booker T. Washington's untimely death. But Booker T. Washington, they said he was poisoned by a Haitian. Yep. And they said that Booker T. Washington was very fascinating. Like I said, he was a mentor to Marcus Garvey. He supported civil rights causes behind the scenes. He had that quiet money behind the scene. And also he was very vocal about the U.S. occupation of Haiti in 1915. It was an article that came out, I believe, October 18th, 1915, in the New York Age, which was ran by a black man named T. Thomas Fortune. It was an article that Booker T. Washington wrote about the U.S. occupation of Haiti. He was very adamant that the U.S. should get out of Haiti and respect the people of Haiti. I mean, he said, these are proud people. Y'all should consider leaving. I mean, when we think about Booker T. Washington, we think about a person that we've been told was very compliant with the law. We think about the 1895 Atlanta Compromise. They don't tell you about this Booker T. Washington. And also, Booker T. Washington was almost lynched in Central Park back in 1911. There's a New York Times article from 1911. You can Google this up. Just like you Google up this 1927 New York Times article about Donald Trump's daddy being a Klan member in Queens, and he was arrested by the police for fighting the police in Queens back in June 1927. A guy named Fred Trump from Queens, and we all know that's Donald Trump's daddy. But this is an article in the New York Times that came out in 1911 that accused, they said Booker T. Washington was almost lynched in Central Park because he was allegedly accused of being a peeping Tom. Like he was in his building, his apartment building, and allegedly he was peeping at white women. But Dick Gregory said he was peeping at white women and something like that. But he said he got lost looking for somebody for some business matter. But who knows? But he ran into Central Park, was chased by a white mob, was almost lynched, but he was saved by the police. And he didn't want to press charges. But this article could be found easily online. New York Times article, 1911, Booker T. Washington. Probably could type that up, and it'll pop up. But Booker T. Washington was the first black person invited as a dinner guest to the White House. He was a dinner guest of Theodore Roosevelt, who was a very complex man, but he was a white inferiority believer. I don't call it white supremacy, I call it white inferiority. He was what you call, a racist, but he was a complex racist. A lot of complexity about Theodore Roosevelt because, he was saved, his life was saved by black men. People always talk about the Rough Riders in the Spanish-American War, but it really was the Buffalo Soldiers that saved his fucking life. Because if it was for the Buffalo Soldiers, he would have been a dead man walking. He would have been dead. He would never been, president of the United States or anything. because they was down there, they protected him. But anyway, I say all this to say, take a look. It's all online. But Paula Horton Davis, but Death in 60 Days. That's the name of the book that she wrote. I might gotta have her own again. But anyway, yeah, get back to the minister. He did, Dick's eulogy. I thought it was well done, very powerful. But what he said in the eulogy is how I live my life now. He said, you pull on the tit of the universe, to make the milk come out. You keep on doing what you gotta do. You do things with intent and purpose, and never give up. Be persistent. That's what I got from that message. Because he said you gotta pull on the teat of the universe to get the milk. Keep on pulling on that teat, and the milk will come. So I really believe that I'm getting close to being able to have a sit down or meet with Minister Farrakhan and have this snapshot with him about getting the We All Be award, because I think it's important. I think it's kind of crazy that folks are ashamed to stand with this man. And like Billy Graham is a national icon, and what he said with him and Richard Nixon in the White House, he's an anti-Semite, but he was speaking his truth. Billy Graham felt that I think he was talking about the Zionist Jews. Just like Henry Ford, he had a newspaper that he printed in Dearborn, Michigan, back in the 20s or the teens. They talk about the Zionist protocol, about the Zionist conspiracy to take over the world. So who are these Jews they talking about? The Rothschild is a Jewish banking dynasty. You look at all this stuff, but don't get sidetracked with the game. Learn how to do the research and think for yourself. Is Farrakhan really anti-Semitic? And think about it. Look at who Farrakhan's friends are. And the Nation of Islam got a series of books called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. People don't understand. People we consider Jewish people benefited from slavery. You go to Charleston, South Carolina, where 40% of the enslaved Africans came through Charleston Harbor. I got all type of kinfolks that still live in Charleston. A lot of us got kinfolks from Charleston, South Carolina. But I'm saying you got the Jewish historical societies there. They talk about how they benefited from the slave trade. You got the vice president of the Confederacy, Judah P. Benjamin, who was a senator from Louisiana. He was the vice president of the Confederacy, and also I think the Secretary of Treasury for the Confederacy, and became a barrister, I guess a lawyer over in England after the war. He was married to a mulatto, but he was a Jewish person who benefited from slavery, who was a supporter of the Confederacy. I think he was the first Jewish senator in the U.S. Senate, Judah P. Benjamin. So I'm going to drop out the name because y'all need to just do this information research for yourself. Take a look. It's all online. I'm just trying to give y'all the breadcrumbs, and it's up to y'all to try to find the loaf of bread or make your own bread. So this is what it's about. It's about self-learning, self-directed learning. So it's important. So with the minister, I just think it's funny. He went from why wasn't there a problem with him doing Dick's eulogy? But GREgory is a very polarizing figure. And in order to be great, you got to be polarizing. You can't be great and or effective if people don't know what to think of you. So when people think about Farrakhan, one thing about Farrakhan, there's no in between. You either hate Farrakhan or you love Farrakhan. You either hate him or love him. There's no I'm not sure how I feel. If somebody asks you how you feel about or what you think about so and so, and folks can give you a direct answer, they can't give you an immediate answer, that means that person was very ineffective. You can't be great and not help enemies. In order to be great, you got to piss people off. The fact that you exist, that you are willing to do stuff to give your life meaning and definition, ain't gonna sit well with a lot of people. Like I told you, most people are followers and don't know what they want for themselves. But if you like a Charlie Parker, you say, I want to be the best saxophone player I can be. And if you're willing to sacrifice 4 years of your life to practice your saxophone for 11, 15 hours a day, then nobody can stop you but you. Nobody. That's phenomenal. If you're willing to be the best basketball player and shoot 1,000 jump shots, a day, who can stop you but you? And when you do stuff like that, what I'm talking about, when you do stuff like that, that means you start developing some type of relationship with who you are. A lot of folks don't take the time to spend time alone, to meditate, to work on themselves, to create. The thing about it is, I'm going to tell you something about life. If you learn a lot about one thing, that one thing will teach you about all the different things in life. Like, if all you do is hit baseballs. Like with Ted Williams, one of the greatest baseball hitters of all time. Ted Williams knew so much about the science of hitting a baseball that he was able to use that knowledge and leverage it in other aspects and facets of his life. Like, he was able to understand other things better because he understood this one thing better than most. So when you focus on certain things, you are able to expand your knowledge and your approach and your methodology into, getting other things done in your lifetime. And academia is fucked up because academia teach you that you should specialize in one field and not know anything else. Like, people always tell me, I was pursuing my doctorate, but I kind of took a time out on that. People say, man, Ron, if you get your doctorate, more people take you seriously. I take myself seriously by pursuing the things that give my life meaning, that has a fulfilling factor for me, that helps me to not only be a better person, but to inspire other people to be better people in their approach to living their life and to finding their God work. A lot of academics can't connect with people because they cut themselves off from the rest of humanity. They put themselves in a box. They are willing to put themselves in a box just for some so-called tenure track and all this other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? What we should be doing is believing ourselves enough to manifest the institution that we want to have that's in our mind. Develop ourselves, and that way we develop other people, because what you can learn about yourself, you can actually lay this as the groundwork for an institution to help other people learn about themselves. It's like religions or anything else. They got to start somewhere. Like the founder of the Mormons, Joseph Smith, he was lynched by other white people. They lynched Joseph Smith, the founder of the Mormons. And don't you know that the Mormons had to fight a civil war with the American government just several years before the so-called U.S. Civil War? They fought out west. They fought a civil war when President James Buchanan was the president of the United States. He was the president before Lincoln. And he got into it with the Mormons. The federal government sent troops out there out west in Utah and stuff to fight in the territories with the Mormons. How do you think they got control of Utah? They fought for that. It's not only good to believe, you also got to believe enough to be willing to fight and die for what you want. If you're not willing to put yourself on the line for what you want, you can't get nothing. It's like, what's stopping people? People are talking about heaven. If you believe there's an afterlife and there's heaven waiting for you, why are you afraid to live now? Why not say, you know what? If this shit don't work out, if I fight it and they kill me, I'll still go to heaven. That should be some comfort. But at the same time, why is it okay for other people to live in comfort while they suffer? While you suffer, while your other people suffer. Why is it okay to think people think this is an okay system when the majority of people in this system are poor or impoverished? Why is it okay for only 100 families or 5 people to own all this wealth while the majority of the people suffer on earth? Why is it okay to poison food supply, water supply, and people's minds with miseducation? Why is it okay to undermine people's full potential to be phenomenal people and givers and sustainers of humanity? Why is that okay with people? Why is it okay to vote for lesser evils than to have holidays for people who are truth seekers and truth tellers and who compromise nothing in pursuit of truth and justice? We honor them with holidays, with car sales and furniture sales, but we forget the message and what they lived and died and fought for. This is bullshit. This is hypocrisy. Contradictions are not bad, because to be contradictory is just to be human. To be a hypocrite is a whole type of other animal. There's something else. So the minister, I don't understand. These folks that take photo shots with the minister, now they're afraid to stand up for themselves and to tell the truth about this country. This country never been kind to black people. When has this country ever respected the balls of black men? We talked about Terry Crews earlier. When has this country ever respected the balls of black men? When have the black man balls ever been protected in this country? Go back to George Washington Carver. This fucking sky man. Talk about Einstein all day. Whatever. We produced Dr. Du Bois, Dubois, whatever you want to call him. Then we produced Dr. George Washington Carver. The man was brilliant. But you know what's sad? What people don't understand? He was castrated. They cut off his balls. The people who helped, the white folks who helped raise him, this mom was kidnapped by the Klan and taken to the Ozark Mountains, never to be seen again. These white folks was afraid that he'll sleep with their daughter, so they had his balls cut off. You go online and listen to the voice of George Washington Carver. He has a very high-pitched voice, but the man was able to talk to plants and animals. He was the real Dr. Doolittle. He was the real Dr. Doolittle. He was able to talk to plants and animals. He was able to influence people like Henry Ford, the auto plant, assembly line. He was able to influence people like former Vice President Henry Wallace, who founded a company which was sold for $9 billion back in 1999 to DuPont. Henry Wallace was influenced by George Washington Carver, because George Washington Carver used to live with his family when he was going to college up in Iowa, because he was not allowed to stay on the campus because he's a black man. So they would take nature walks when he was a little kid. So he taught them about the plants and the animals and the insects. So he was inspired to go into that line of work. As a grown man, took his family's, took his wife inheritance of several $1,000s and created a $9 billion company based on his inspiration from George Washington Carver. So you can look this up. You don't have to take my word for it. Just look this all up. Look this up. Henry Wallace, George Washington Carver. Look that up. Yeah, with Farrakhan, I think it's funny. You know, the Maxine Waters, all them, you know, they talk all this game. But we don't have no real black leadership nationally. That's why I said the greatest congressperson we ever produced was Reverend Adam Clayton Powell Jr., who wasn't afraid to stand with Malcolm X in Harlem. He wasn't afraid. He was a Christian minister who was a public servant who wasn't afraid to stand with Malcolm X. He was not afraid to fight for his people. He could have passed for white, but he loved being black. He loved his people. The greatest politician we ever had. If only Obama had the mindset of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. But yet we forget about those freedom fighters. We forget about the Fannie Lou Hamers. I can't even say we forget. We never were taught about these people. You understand? So this is what I'm saying. So we got no real black leadership. Marion Barry stood with Farrakhan. It was very unpopular to stand with Farrakhan back in the 90s. That's why they was able to do the Million Man March back in 95. Because Marion Barry stood with Farrakhan and some other folks. You had real visionary black leadership. Like I tell people, you can say what you want to say about Marion Barry. Marion Barry was not corrupt. He was not crooked. He loved his people. He served his people. You call him a crackhead. You call him he was pussy crazy and all that stuff. He was a human being. Same thing with Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He was not corrupt. He just saw the hypocrisy of the white man in office. They trying to hide and take advantage of people. They got all these mistresses. They go on these trips at the taxpayers' expense. And Adam Clayton Powell Jr. was being honest about his thing for women and find things in life and the finer things in life. But he was the architect behind Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society program. He gave the starter money for the National Endowment for the Arts. He was the guy who helped create affirmative action. He passed so many legislation bills. I think he's like a Michael Jordan of politicians. And yeah, we don't know about this amazing man. This man was doing boycotts and all this stuff back in the 30s. When Dr. King was just in diapers. He was already doing that work that Dr. King and them did in the 50s and 60s. He was doing it decades earlier. So that's my thing. This is why I do the We All Be TV show. Because it's about us knowing who we are. Like I said, we got to support independent or interdependent black media. I said interdependent. People got this thing about independence. And that's what's killing us. It's that type of do-for-self mindset where you got to think like you got to be alone. White folks work in groups. Group power is more important than individual power. If you want to get things done in this system, you got to have a group dynamic. You got to practice group politics. You got to make sure that your group priorities become the priorities of the people that you do business with. That's how you do it. If you be by yourself, you end up like Bill Cosby. You know, Bill Cosby was being supported by the community. He said the remarks among his peers in 2004. at that Brown v. Board thing and changed everything. But he gave so much money to institutions, to black folks and all this stuff over the years. But he got alienated, because the way he might have just been frustrated by it all. Now we know that Bill Cosby's just a man like everybody else. He's not America's favorite dad anymore. And it's funny how people talk so much about Bill Cosby, but what about the father who was a minister from Seventh Heaven? They don't talk nothing about him because he's a white man. It's different rules. Like even Woody Allen, you still got actors and actresses that's fighting over themselves to be in a Woody Allen picture. Woody Allen's still getting money to make movies, and yet he never made no blockbuster movie in years. I don't think he ever made a blockbuster movie. But I'm saying he still get all Hollywood investing in him in his career. He get all the actors he wants because everybody still want to be in a Woody Allen movie, even though his relationships with his daughters are very questionable. He even married his stepdaughter. Man, I guess she was a person that was his daughter. He adopted legally, I think. But he ended up marrying her. He's still married to her. But I'm saying it's a double standard. And we can't sit up here and have people act like there's no double standard when it comes to black men. Because there's no country for black men. Like I said, I can be on here all day talking, but I ain't going to be on here all day talking. But what I'm saying is, I'm a thought provocateur. I want my people to think for themselves and do for themselves. And we could do it together. We get there quicker as a team. Now we get there. You might get there quicker by yourself, but we could go farther together. And it's time for us to go farther together because, like Dr. King said, I may not get there with you, but we as a people shall get to the promised land. You know what I'm saying? We as a people, as a team, not everybody, but we need a team of committed warriors and freedom fighters and visionaries and doers. And that's what it takes to change history and to reign justice. So if this message speaks to you, please feel free to share it among your tribes and groups. Support the movement like Sister Duckworth. You can make a one-time donation through PayPal, or you can make a recurring donation through patreon.com/WeAllBe, or buy some artivist art. All those links are available in the subscription box. And I think we'll talk more about the Farrakhan thing, but like I said, we really don't have no leadership. Because black folks are being sold out. We're becoming obsolete, and we're just cannon fodder for the system and collateral damage for the system. But we could be so much more if we had people that really believe in ourselves. And we got to reconnect the talented tip to the body. Time to reconnect the talented tip to the body. But I think that's it. I think I covered mostly everything I wanted to cover. I want to thank you all for staying up with me up all night. And thank you all for just giving your time to hear me out. Because time is one of the most valuable commodities that you have. Once you invest your time, you can't get it back. Hopefully there'll be a significant return on your investment, though. So in the words of the great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. And so all you Fruit of Islam, Nation of Islam folks out there listening, help me connect with Farrakhan very soon. I appreciate it. God bless. Peace out. One love. One love. One love.